Chapter 103. Is it over? Get Brother Panther here. The middle-aged man who was standing in the middle told a young man. A dozen people did not make a move against Wuxia. Lad, there are not many fearless people like you. Aren't you afraid of death? The middle-aged man threw a glance at the dreadful fifth Master Gong before he spoke to Wuxia while staring at him. Had just a few of you? Wuxia sneered at them. The middle-aged man raised his eyebrows as he looked at the young man in front of him with bewilderment. Fearless and composed, disregarding all of them. An ordinary young man could not possibly possess such a demeanor. The middle-aged man, unlike fifth Master Gong, knew how to think. The young man in front of him must have some backings. However, he took out a cigarette casually and lit it. Lad, arrogant people will not have good endings. Once Brother Panther arrived, this lad would have to pay the price regardless of how formidable he was. On the other hand, a young man trotted to a private room along with a security guard of the pub. Brother Panther, someone beat our buddies up. As soon as the door was opened, that young man quickly reported to the middle-aged man inside. What? There were about 6 people in the room. The one who was known as Brother Panther was rather muscular. He was slightly stunned before he stood up. Where are they? Brother Panther calmly asked. They are in the pub now. Fifth Master Gong fought with 2 young men, and he got beaten up badly. The young man replied at once. Oh, in my pub? A young man sitting in the middle lifted his chin puzzledly. With a smile he said, interesting. Let's check it out. Brother Panther, second master, the one who beat fifth Master Gong, was a juvenile. He is formidable. He can send a person flying with just a kick, said the young man at the side. Regardless of how formidable he is, I'll not let him off for beating up my buddy, Brother Panther said coldly. He turned to the young man at the side. Second master, sorry to cause you trouble over here. It's all right. The young man gestured as he did not seem to be bothered by it. Looked like he was in a good mood today. Fine, I want to see who dares to lay his finger on my buddy. Seeing that second master was not mindful, cold radiance flashed in Brother Panther's eyes as he looked at the place where people were gathering. He bellowed, how dare he beat up my people? Let me see how formidable he is. The surrounding people were shocked as they quickly turned around and looked at the source of the voice. It's Brother Panther, Brother Panther. It's really Brother Panther. I guess that juvenile is doomed. Some people exchanged whispers in fear when they saw Brother Panther walking over. As Wang Dahai listened to the whispers around him, he displayed an anxious look on his face as he clenched his fists tightly. Wang Xian watched the approaching people emotionlessly, but he raised his eyebrow when he spotted someone. The second master, who was next to Brother Panther, froze as the smile on his face slowly disappeared. Were you the one who hit my buddy? Brother Panther glared at Wang Xian coldly as he pointed his finger at him. Brother Panther, it was him. Brother Panther, you must avenge me. Fifth Master Gong, who was lying in a pool of blood, said with a hideous face. However, the second master, who was standing beside Brother Panther, quickly trotted towards Wang Xian while they were exchanging conversations. Young Master Wang, I did not expect to see you here. This is my fault. The second master ran over and greeted him with fear. He was gritting his teeth. Damn, this bunch of useless things. He called some friends here for a celebration as he managed to pull some strings with Wang Xian. Never did he expect that he would encounter such a thing. Oh. He swept his gaze across fifth Master Gong, who was lying on the floor, with a strong desire to destroy him for good. It's nothing. I just fought with some of them. I'll leave this in your hands. My friend and I will go back now. Let's meet for lunch someday, said Wang Xian to the young man before him, who was the director's son he'd met yesterday. Wang Xian peered at Wang Dahai, who was looking worried and gloomy. Yes, young Master Wang. Leave this to me and I'll make sure you're happy with the outcome. Director's son nodded hastily in assurance. Okay. Wang Xian nodded. He walked to Wang Dahai and said, let's go, Dahai. Wang Dahai was stunned as he followed Wang Xian outside in bewilderment. Everyone was stunned. What's going on? Brother Panther was dumbfounded too when he saw the second master running to the juvenile and speaking to him respectfully. Eventually, he witnessed the departure of the juvenile. He had a mixed expression when he saw the juvenile walking past him. But he remained silent as Second Master walked towards him. Second Master, Brother Panther pointed shockingly at the juvenile who left. Director's son took out a cigarette slowly. Panther, don't you know how to manage your subordinates? Brother Panther froze as he panicked while looking at Director Sunday's Second Master. What have I done wrong? Please let me know. Break their limbs and make sure they disappear from Rivertown. Teach these 3 girls a lesson too, Director's son said slowly. What Director's son said shocked everyone around him. What's going on? Why did the Second Master give such instructions? That juvenile. I know you have a lot of questions in your head. What's the reason for the celebration tonight? Director's son looked at Brother Panther and asked impassively. Because you befriended such a formidable expert. As Brother Panther spoke, his eyes were agape. Second Master, could that juvenile be? Director's son nodded his head slowly. I wish I could save some face for you, but it was your men who courted their own death. Brother Panther was appalled as trepidation filled his eyes. Today, Second Master's son had invited them out to have some drinks. Obviously, he was in a chirpy mood. Hence, they were puzzled and asked him about it. In the end, the Second Master told them proudly that he had befriended a formidable person, who was one of the supreme people in the entire Rivertown. His remark shocked them. They would look up to anyone who was favored by the Second Master. On top of that, the Second Master made another remark which startled them the most. He was someone who could make Old Chin bow and apologize. They were unable to stay composed after hearing these words. That person is Old Chin. The Second Master could enjoy his current status because he worked for the Chin family. I know what to do. Brother Panther took a deep breath and stared coldly at the 5th Master Gong. 5th Master Gong, you're gonna get us killed. Break their limbs. A resentful bellow shocked the rest of the bar. What's the situation now? 5th Master Gong and his bunch of friends, including the 3 girls, stared at Brother Panther with disbelief and despair. Is it over? Asked Wang Dahai, who was following behind Wang Xian as he looked over his shoulder dumbfoundedly. Yes, it's over. What else do you want? All of a sudden, Wang Dahai hugged Wang Xian and cried. Sob sob old Wang, I'm out of love. Out of love. I never thought that Rong Rong was such a person. Chapter 104 Military Training. Wang Dahai had just gotten dumped. Using his own words, it was being dumped before getting into a relationship. Rong Rong was the girl he'd liked the most since he was born. However, the shame was that her character was poor. Nonetheless, this didn't stop Wang Dahai from feeling like he got dumped. He dragged Wang Xian along to drink for the entire night in memory of his failed relationship. They drank from the wee hours of the day until dawn broke, and Wang Xian accompanied him for the entire night. When he woke up, it was already 4 in the afternoon. Dahai, Dahai. Wang Xian tried to wake Wang Dahai. No. Shit, it's already 4 p.m. I still have to report to class at night. Wang Dahai exclaimed and quickly sat up. My head is aching from the drinking. Let's get up and go get dinner. Let's go, I'll treat you to something good. First grade restaurant? Wang Dahai's eyes lit up. They'd had a long conversation the previous night and Wang Xian told him about the fact that he was the boss of first grade restaurant. Brother Xian, let's go and have something good to relieve my sorrows of being dumped. Wang Dahai jumped up immediately. From his excited looks, he didn't look like he just got dumped. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. He changed into another set of clothes before giving Xiao Yu a call. I've also called my sister and her roommates. Oh right. Where's Zhang Wen and Zhang Feng? Zhang Wen and Zhang Feng were the other 2 people in the same dormitory. In his dormitory, Wang Dahai and Wang Xian were closer to each other. Zhang Wen and Zhang Feng were closer to each other. Nonetheless, the 4 of them had a cordial relationship. I don't know. They must be with their girlfriends. Wang Xian nodded his head but still called them to verify. However, they were accompanying their girlfriends and couldn't come. Wang Xian didn't press further and headed towards the girls' dormitory with Wang Dahai. Brother. Xiao Yu Yuan 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 and Su Qian walked over. Xiao Yu walked to his side joyously and held on to his arm. Before we go get dinner, let me introduce him. He is my brother Wang Dahai. Wang Xian explained to the group of girls, after which, he introduced the girls to Wang Dahai. Hello pretty. Wang Dahai chuckled. However, his attention fell on Su Qian and remained there for some time. Let's go for dinner. Wang Xian laughed. Xiao Yu, are you guys starting on military training tomorrow? Yeah, 20 days of military training. That's horrible. Xiao Yu pouted and said grumpily, after the military training, we probably will tan too. The group chuckled and arrived at First Grade Restaurant. First Grade Restaurant had returned to normal operations by today. However, it was still filled with customers and the popularity of First Grade Restaurant hadn't subsided on the internet. Currently, the net profit of First Grade Restaurant could reach approximately $1 million a day. Could be considered very high. However, when he recalled the materials he needed to build the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian could feel his head starting to ache. During dinner, Wang Xian called Guan Shuqing over too. This made Wang Dahai a little dumbfounded as he gave a thumbs up to Wang Xian. After the group finished their dinner, they headed back towards the school. The school was starting officially today. Wang Xian and Guan Shuqing were chatting happily. After not seeing each other for 2 days, they had a lot to talk about. As for Wang Dahai, he got closer to Su Qian and was trying to impart onto her his experiences at the University of Rivertown. After parting with the girls, Wang Dahai looked at the back view of Su Qian and suddenly blurted out, "Hey's old Wang, I feel that I'm in love again." Oh! Wang Xian was drinking from a bottle. When he heard what Wang Dahai said, he almost spit it out. Oh! Brother, you are in love again? Wang Xian looked at him in astonishment. I'm serious about it this time. Did you notice how cute Su Qian is? It's especially so for her plump face. Old Wang, my spring is coming again. I've made up my mind. I'm going to woo her. Wang Dahai spoke passionately. However, when he saw Wang Xian simply walking towards the classroom, he quickly asked, Hey, old Wang, do you think I stand a chance? Yes, you do. Wang Xian replied helplessly. That will do. I've decided to bring water to Su Qian during her military training period and show her warmth. Oh! Wang Xian was speechless. When the two of them arrived in the class, most of the students were already there. Wang Xian specialized in international economics and trade. Therefore, the guys far exceeded the number of girls. Moreover, beautiful girls were few and far between. The prettiest of them all was Su Meier. However, she was very flirtatious and many did not have a good impression of her. When he stepped into the room, Wang Xian immediately felt gazes upon him. Turning around, he saw Su Meier shifting away her gaze in a hurry. In her eyes there was fear. Wang Xian smiled and found 2 seats for him and Wang Dahai. Soon the school counselor walked in. The school counselor was a young man. After taking attendance, going through the questions they did for examination last year, and reminding the students to study diligently, he left. The second year was much easier than the first year. There weren't many miscellaneous matters to attend to and they had more free time. After 2 lessons in the morning the second day, Wang Dahai rushed to Wang Xian. Let's go, old Wang. Have you found out what I've asked you about? Didn't you add her on WeChat? Can't you ask her yourself? Wang Xian looked at him feeling speechless. You don't understand. I couldn't make it so obvious. It would be horrible if she thinks that I am the same as those casual guys. Quick. Wang Dahai was pressing him and Wang Xian had no choice but to walk ahead helplessly. Let's go. I'll bring you over. Seeing Wang Dahai regaining the vitality of spring, Wang Xian was still very happy about it. At the very least, Wang Dahai wasn't severely affected by being dumped. The sun was vicious today, and this was something that the Year 1 students wouldn't like to see. As the intense sunlight shone down, this group of spoiled students all felt miserable. Wang Xian brought Wang Dahai to a spot in the field, found a place and sat down. This is where my sister and her classmates are having their military training. Su Qian is also here. Let us wait a while. When it's their break time, we will go bring them some water. Wang Dahai chuckled as he looked around fervently, trying to spot Su Qian. Wang Xian looked across and noticed that, after the girls put on the military cap, it wasn't easy for him to see the girls' looks. Therefore, he took out his mobile phone to play. Perhaps the students just had their break. Therefore, the tutors didn't give them a break despite Wang Xian and Wang Dehai waiting for half an hour. Under the intense sun, one could see that every student's face was turning a little red. Wang Dehai was a little plump and didn't take the heat well. He wiped off the perspiration on his forehead. It's so hot today. Luckily, there was rain for a few days during our military training last year. Only by going through trials and tribulations can you get your girl. Wang Xian looked at him and chuckled. Oh no! Someone has fainted. At this moment, a scream sounded from the side. Wang Xian and Wang Dehai immediately looked over and saw a student lying on the ground. The military officer immediately carried her up and ran towards Wang Xian and Wang Dehai's location where there was more shade. Chapter 105. Sacred Followers Guild. Get out of the way. Can those two students give up their seats? The instructor yelled at Wang Xian and Wang Dehai as he carried the student over. She must have fainted from the heat stroke. Wang Dehai was shocked as he stood up hastily and gave up his seat. Wang Xian also stood up when he saw the instructor lay the girl down on the ground. At this time, two doctors ran over. Apart from the school doctors, the regular hospital doctors were present during the military training at the University of Rivertown to prevent any accidents. Two doctors, a middle-aged man and a 27 to 28-year-old female doctor, sprinted over. Dr. Sun, let me take a look first. She must be suffering from heat stroke, said the middle-aged school doctor to Dr. Sun as he carried his medical equipment. Sure, Dr. Song, you can examine her first. Dr. Sun nodded. At this time, Wang Xian felt Wang Dehai tugging his arm. He peered over with doubt. Wang Dehai was pouting his lips in a direction. Wang Xian looked over. That doctor was about 28 years old. She wore a white gown that couldn't hide her bosomy figure. Her white gown was pushed up at the chest area. She had a fair and refined profile. With bun-up hair, she looked just like a goddess. Wang Xian was in a stupor for a moment as he found her familiar. He then recalled the same Dr. Sun at the previous accident the other time. Her body feels hot. It doesn't seem like she got heat stroke. The anxious voice of the middle-aged school doctor was heard. Give her some cold water before we apply some medicine on her. She's not having a heat stroke? Didn't the students have their checkup in advance? Check her heartbeat to see if there are any problems. Dr. Sun continued. Let me do it since it's more appropriate. Sure. The middle-aged school doctor agreed immediately while Dr. Sun took over. Dr. Sun took out her stethoscope immediately and placed it at the girl's chest area. Gosh, her heart is beating very slowly. Dr. Sun's expression had a drastic change. She flipped the eyelid of the girl. Her eyes are red. This is not a heat stroke. Her breathing is weak. We must send her to the hospital immediately, said the middle-aged school doctor as he placed his finger on the girl's nose. What's going on? Is she all right? Just then, two school in-charges rushed over and consulted. It's not a heat stroke. It should be some other illness. We need to get her to the hospital now for an examination. The middle-aged school doctor replied immediately. How serious? The two school teachers frowned. Hurry, get the car now. We're sending her to the hospital before it's too late. Upon seeing the motionless girl, Dr. Sun spoke anxiously. Okay, I'll get the car now, said the two school teachers who were panicked too. The impact would be huge if students had any accidents during military training in school. Let me take a look. At this time, Wang Xian spoke when he saw the frail-looking girl. Upon hearing Wang Xian, everyone turned to look at him. Don't you fool around, said the middle-aged school doctor impatiently as he realized how young and inexperienced Wang Xian was. Wait, you. Dr. Sun looked at Wang Xian as she observed him carefully with a pair of refined eyes. You were the one in that accident. Yes, let me take a look. Wang Xian nodded and said to Dr. Sunday. Okay, go ahead. Radiance flickered in the eyes of Dr. Sun as she stared at Wang Xian with curiosity. Previously, they did a detailed examination of the young men and the young lady from the car accident back in the hospital. What shocked all of them in the hospital was that the broken leg of the young girl had miraculously healed by itself. On the other hand, the young man's injuries were even more severe as his ribs were fractured. Yet, the bones had been fixed in some unique way. It was shocking to all the doctors. Such a situation could be considered a miracle in the medical field. When Dr. Sun learned about the report, the first thing she thought of was that juvenile. She did not expect to meet him here. The middle-aged school doctor and the two school teachers were slightly stunned by what Dr. Sun had said, but they did not stop him. "I'll do it." However, a juvenile in his military uniform walked out suddenly just when Wang Xian stood up. The juvenile was 1.8 meters tall, looking cheerful and handsome. His confident vibe was even more intense when he was in a military training outfit. "Out of my way. Let me do it." The juvenile looked at Wang Xian and spoke immediately while he fished out an ID from his right pocket. "This is..." The middle-aged school doctor opened his eyes wide with a shocked expression. He exclaimed, "Sacred Followers Guild? Medical saint? I'm not a medical saint yet. I'm just an apprentice." The juvenile gave a faint smile as he held his chin high when he heard the exclamation from the middle-aged school doctor. Confident, handsome, imposing, unexpected, unexpected. The middle-aged school doctor was overwhelmed with surprise. "Little Miracle Doctor, come and take a look. Sacred Followers Guild." Dr. Sun was also taken aback as she gazed at the juvenile. Sacred Followers Guild was one of the two sacred places in the medical industry. Almost everyone in the medical industry knew about Sacred Followers Guild. At the same time, all the medical students were hoping to have a chance to learn in the sacred place. However, only very few doctors managed to pass the test. Any apprentices who walked out from the Sacred Followers Guild were equipped with formidable medical skills. The middle-aged school doctor spoke respectfully to the juvenile, and the juvenile was enjoying such treatment. He wriggled his finger, and the silver needles appeared in his hand. "Awesome!" The middle-aged school doctor was amazed by the appearance of the silver needles. "Excuse me." The juvenile pushed Wang Xian away and squatted down immediately. "Little Miracle Doctor, please take a look at this student to see what's wrong with her," said the two school teachers respectfully. Apparently, they had heard of the reputation of the Sacred Followers Guild. "Okay, don't worry. If it's not something serious, I can cure her with a silver needle." The juvenile drew his lips and spoke confidently. "That'll do." The two teachers heaved a sigh of relief as they smiled. Then they looked at Wang Xian and Wang Dehai who were gathering around them. "Two of you, please give way. Don't interrupt the Little Miracle Doctor while he is treating." Sacred Followers Guild. Wang Xian took 2 steps back as he gazed at the juvenile with surprise. He had heard old Shui mentioning the Sacred Followers Guild. They were like the ultimate existence in the entire medical industry. The members of Sacred Followers Guild came from a mix of the underworld and society. Some of them were commoners while some were martial artists. However, the majority of them were mainly martial artists since they would circulate their internal energy during their treatment. The juvenile placed his hand on the young girl's hand and closed his eyes. "Her." The juvenile knit his eyebrows slightly. "What is it, Little Miracle Doctor? Is her illness serious?" asked the two teachers when they saw the juvenile frowning. "It's a little tricky." In a flash, the juvenile took the silver needle in his hand and inserted it into one of the acupoints on the girl's arm. "I can treat her, but it will take some time." Chapter 106 Technique. Chapter 106 Technique. This girl's body is deficient and lacks a type of element. This made her body weak and made her suffer from breathing difficulties. She will still need some time to recuperate. The juvenile wiggled his fingers and another dozen silver needles appeared in his hand. He continued with a smile, "I'll execute silver needle treatment on her to first wake her up." When the juvenile completed his sentence, he moved his hands so quickly that they formed after images which confused the onlooking crowd. "Incredible! Absolutely incredible! You are indeed from the Sacred Followers Guild. The techniques of hidden needles and laying out needles are truly incredible." "Yeah, I would have never thought that the University of Rivertown would have such an incredible expert." Looking at the medical skills of this young miracle doctor, you are more than qualified to become a tutor in our medical branch. The middle-aged school doctor and lead each exclaimed in disbelief. It's just a simple trick and isn't anything. The juvenile revealed a satisfied look but still replied in an arrogant manner. If this is a simple trick for this young miracle doctor, my medical skills will be nothing in comparison. Incredible! The middle-aged school doctor gave him a thumbs up. Hee. The juvenile smiled faintly as he controlled the silver needle in his hand. Soon, the girl opened her eyes gradually. What happened? The girl looked around, feeling a little lost. Awesome. You are indeed worthy of the name of Miracle Doctor. The two leads were thrilled and remarked excitedly. Alright, for the coming week, rest well and have some beef and fruits. Together with my silver needles treatment, I can guarantee that you will recover within a week. As the young man waved his hand, all the silver needles were kept within his hand. So strong. Dr. Sun, who was on the side, also looked at the girl with amazement. Basic operations. The arrogant juvenile nodded his head and suddenly looked to Wang Xian. This student seemed to be thinking of providing treatment to a while ago. Did you learn medical skills previously? Wang Xian was taken aback, shook his head, smiled and replied, I know a little about healing. TSK. If you don't understand it well, it's better than you don't try providing treatment to others. Otherwise, you might make it worse if you misdiagnose the symptoms. The juvenile spoke in a tone similar to how a senior would guide a junior. This young miracle doctor is right. Misdiagnosing would only harm the patient. If you aren't confident, it's better if you don't act rashly. Not only does this young miracle doctor have extraordinary medical skills, but his medical ethics are also worth respecting, the middle-aged man said as he tried to lick the juvenile's boots. I'm just a little more gifted than others. The juvenile shook his head and continued. Please send this student to the dormitory to rest. Give her something to eat in an hour or two, and she should be recovering well. For the following days, I'll perform a few additional rounds of treatments and she will recover fully. Alright, thank you, young miracle doctor. Thank you, young miracle doctor. The two leads quickly replied. Why don't we excuse the young miracle doctor from training and let him be a doctor here? If any students are to encounter any issues, we would also be more assured with this young miracle doctor with us. Yeah, that will work too. The juvenile nodded his head and revealed a prideful smile. With me around, there wouldn't be any issues. Yeah, definitely. With you around, we will feel more reassured too. The middle-aged school doctor quickly seconded. Hey, you two students, if you guys are free, can you help us bring this girl back to her room? One of the leads said to Wang Xian and Wang Dehai. Alright. Wang Dehai nodded his head and squatted down, ready to help the girl up. Let me do it. Wang Xian extended his hand over to stop Wang Dehai. He bent down and placed his hand on the stomach area of the girl. What are you doing? When the middle-aged school doctor saw Wang Xian placing his hand on the girl's stomach, he immediately frowned. I'm just taking a look. Wang Xian lifted his head and smiled. What are you looking for? You can't possibly be thinking that you could cure her? The middle-aged doctor said sarcastically. Hurry up. The young miracle doctor has already seen her. Stop causing trouble. Don't move recklessly if you don't know anything. Do you think you could tell her condition just by placing your hand on her? Childish. The young man looked at Wang Xian with contempt. Wang Xian laughed and had a cold expression. I was still wondering how incredible one from the Sacred Followers Guild is. Seems that you are just average. What the hell are you saying? Do you even understand what Sacred Followers Guild represents? When Wang Xian completed his sentence, the middle-aged school doctor standing by the side immediately shouted at Wang Xian mercilessly. What did you say? I dare you to repeat it. When that juvenile heard Wang Xian, his face sank too. Sacred Followers Guild isn't something you could humiliate. What the hell are you saying? Hurry and apologize to this young miracle doctor. The two leads also condemned Wang Xian solemnly. If everyone in Sacred Followers Guild is at your level. Wang Xian looked at the group of people shouting at him and his expression turned chilly. He looked to the girl and moved his finger, tapping on over 10 spots on the girl. Brat, are you humiliating me? The juvenile's eyes flickered as he stared at Wang Xian. He moved his fingers and needles appeared within his hands. Wang Xian ignored him and simply injected vitality of the wood element into the girl's body. With his current strength, he wouldn't have to exhaust dragon energy for treatment, and could simply rely on the vitality of the wood element to cure the girl. The fatigued girl suddenly felt strength returning to her body. She opened her eyes and looked at Wang Xian in astonishment. Brat, I'm talking to you. Seeing that Wang Xian wasn't replying to him, he remarked, Get up. Wang Xian stood up gradually and gave the juvenile a harsh stare. He then extended his hand over to the girl. Thank you. The girl nodded her head and grabbed onto Wang Xian's hands. She was blushing and stood up with Wang Xian's assistance. The crowd was stunned. Their attention was all on the girl. Dr. Sun, who had been by the side all along, was thrilled. She immediately asked, Are you feeling any discomfort? Nope. When brother tapped on my body, I felt very comfortable. Moreover, I'm feeling a lot better than before. The girl replied as she stole glances at Wang Xian with a blushing face. You just have a small issue and it could be solved with a little treatment. Have regular meals in the future, and don't lag behind on your military training. Wang Xian instructed directly. The truth was that he didn't know the source of the girl's problem. However, it didn't matter. The dense vitality of the wood element had eradicated the issue at the source. Besides that, the girl's body composition was a little weak, and military training would be beneficial for her. All right, brother, thank you. The girl nodded her head. Wang Xian nodded his head in response and turned to the juvenile beside him. He lifted his head and said with contempt, If members of the Sacred Followers Guild are like you, they aren't anything special. Trash. When the juvenile heard Wang Xian, he held onto the silver needles in his hand tightly and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. The middle-aged school doctor and the two leads were stunned. This time they didn't comment anything when they heard Wang Xian. Wang Xian had simply tapped a few times on the girl and she was cured. As for this juvenile from the Sacred Followers Guild, he claimed that the girl required a week of treatment. One could easily tell the difference between them. Recalling how they had chided Wang Xian just a while ago, the group was feeling embarrassed currently. Oh, you are from the Medical Saint sect? What techniques did you just use? The juvenile stared intensely at Wang Xian and questioned him. Brat, I'm not from the Medical Saint sect. As for medical techniques, I only understood a little and am not as well known as your Sacred Followers Guild. Wang Xian looked at the juvenile with mocking eyes. As for the technique, it's called anyhow pressure points technique. Brat, don't be so cocky when you don't have the capabilities. Otherwise, you are just bringing shame to the Sacred Followers Guild. Wang Xian imitated how the juvenile had acted previously and chided as though he was simply educating a junior as a senior. Chapter 107, You can't woo a girl like that. Anyhow pressure points technique. When the juvenile heard the technique he mentioned, he trembled and stared hard at Wang Xian. What the hell was that? Wang Xian looked at the self-conceited juvenile with a smile on his face. Acting tough in front of me. Using me as a stepping stone. Serves you right. As for what Wang Xian did just now, it was true that he was doing it without any thoughts. That was also done deliberately to maintain a low profile. Otherwise, the girl would be fully recovered with a swing of his arm. Fine, just you wait. The juvenile stared fiercely at Wang Xian. Wang Xian put away his smile and looked impassively at the juvenile. Slowly he said, I'll be waiting. Humph. With a cold snort, the juvenile went back to his military training. The doctor and the two leads next to each other parted their mouths. With some hesitation they dispersed into the crowd. Dr. Sun did not leave as she observed Wang Xian with curiosity. Just now, the juvenile from the Sacred Followers Guild had already displayed formidable medical skills. But this young man here was much more powerful than him. When Dr. Sun thought about it, she had some desires for the astounding medical skills. Hey, this is the second time that we meet, said Dr. Sun looking at Wang Xian. Yes. Wang Xian smiled to Dr. Sunday. You are formidable in medical skill. Dr. Sun stared at him with passionate eyes as she wanted to know him better. Wang Xian smiled and said modestly, "Sis, I'm not that skillful. I'm a little ashamed of myself if your standard is considered as." Dr. Sun gave a bitter smile. "You're the most skillful doctor I have ever seen." "Haha. It's nothing." Wang Xian chuckled with embarrassment since he was admired by a beautiful doctor who was older than him. Wang Dehai was dumbfounded as he observed the look of the beautiful doctor. He then shook his head slowly and found himself a seat. Wang Xian brushed Dr. Sun off with a few words before he sat down beside Wang Dehai. Wang Xian wanted to chat with the beautiful girl, but Dr. Sun posed some medical-related questions to him. Wang Xian felt awkward as he knew nothing about it, so he briefly answered her. Dr. Sun bit her lip when she noticed that Wang Xian did not seem to welcome her. Hence, she blatantly asked for his phone number and left. Seeing Wang Xian walking towards him, Wang Dehai gave him a thumbs up. "Bro, you're terrific." Wang Xian smiled. "Your Su Qian has rested enough. Send her the drinks now." "Haha, we can do it together. You deliver drinks to your sister while I will give mine to Su Qian." Wang Dehai pulled him immediately and headed to the ladies where a crowd had just dispersed. After fawning over the ladies, Wang Dehai went back to the dormitory with Wang Xian, feeling satisfied. "Do you want a game?" asked Wang Dehai when they were back in the room. "Nope. You go ahead. I'll just lie down for a while." Wang Xian shook his head. He lay on his bed, thinking about the Dragon Palace. To construct the Dragon Palace, he would require a substantial amount of materials. These materials would be worth at least hundreds of billions if they were to convert into monetary value. Some of these resources could be found in sinking ships or minerals from the ocean floor in the sea. But he would need to purchase some of the materials like fine iron and silver by himself. This would cost a bomb. Now I need to think of a way to earn money. The first-grade restaurant is only earning about 1 million in a day. Compared to what I need, it is way too little. Wang Xian knit his brows slightly. Finding ways to earn money was a problem for him. Medical skills? Should I open a medical hall? An idea came to him when Wang Xian thought of the girl who he'd treated just now. Opening a medical hall seemed viable. Given his current 5 elements divine dragon strength, treating ordinary illness was a piece of cake to him. Moreover, he could open a high-class medical hall where one consultation would cost about 2 to 3 million or even higher. Once the reputation of the medical hall is established, Wang Xian could take in 2 to 3 patients a day. In a month he would be able to earn hundreds of millions or even more. Wang Xian drew a smile at the corner of his lips. He immediately took out his phone and made a few calls. First of all, he called Old Qin, asking for his help to get a certification to practice medicine. Opening a medical hall required certification. Otherwise, the medical hall would be operating without an official license. At the same time, he got Old Shui and Old Qin to promote and refer some clients to him. Finally, he called manager Huang too. He recalled that a shop was put on lease right beside the first-grade restaurant. He could buy that place over and turn it into his medical hall. It would also be convenient for him to pop by the first-grade restaurant to have his lunches and dinners. After making 3 calls, Wang Xian's plan to open the Divine Dragon Medical Hall had finally begun. It's 11:30 am now. I'll ask Guan Shuqing out for lunch. Guys should take the initiative. Wang Xian climbed out from his bed. "Dehai? I'm having lunch with someone. You can have lunch by yourself." "What a beast. Who are you going out with?" asked Wang Dehai, who was playing his game. Wang Xian waved his hand and ignored him. He took out his phone and sent a message to Guan Shuqing. Today, Guan Shuqing had 4 lessons in the morning. So Wang Xian headed straight to her classroom. The University of Rivertown was a huge school. It took Wang Xian 5 minutes to walk from the male dormitory to Guan Shuqing's classroom. Wang Xian looked at the building with classrooms. He then walked over and waited for Guan Shuqing downstairs. V-room. When he just arrived, the sound of a sports car was heard from behind. Wang Xian looked back with curiosity. He spotted a young man coming out from an Audi R8 sports car that was parked beside him. The young man was wearing formal attire, looking charming. He opened his boot and took out a bouquet of red roses. With a face wearing smiles, he stood beside the car and waited. Wang Xian looked at the young man and smiled. The young man also noticed Wang Xian, who was next to him. He drew his lips and glanced at the expensive watch on his wrist. 10 more minutes until class dismissal. Hey, are you waiting for your girlfriend? The young man asked Wang Xian as he was bored. Well, she's not my girlfriend yet, Wang Xian said with a smile. Oh, are you wooing that girl? The young man looked at him and asked with a smile. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. Are you going to lunch with her? Asked the young man smilingly. Yes, we're going to the canteen for lunch. Wang Xian nodded. Canteen. The young man was slightly stunned as he curved his lips slightly. Bro, since you're wooing the girl, you should treat her to something good. In this way the girl will feel your effort. The canteen? The young man shook his head as he talked. You need to be sincere in wooing the girl. If you want to impress her, learn from me. You're still far from it. As he said this, he patted Wang Xian on the shoulder. He was earnest in his words. Girls are vain. She will be touched by my formal confession. It's not going to work if you do it like you did now. This is your shortcoming. Chapter 108, Shocking Rumors in School. Hee. Wang Xian looked at the young man and shook his head. He found it a little hilarious and commented, Love in school is simpler. Simpler? Brother, I wouldn't call that simpler. It's brainless. Tell me, if we confessed at the same time to the same girl, who do you think the girl would accept? The young man replied in contempt, You are still a far cry from me. However, there's nothing you could do about it as you were born with it. Your looks are still alright and you are still better than ordinary students. He added this with a faint sense of superiority. He took out his phone to play, and no longer paid attention to Wang Xian. Wang Xian looked at the young man and wasn't fond of him. However, he did not take his words to heart and simply waited there. 11:50 am. The bell that signaled the end of the lesson rang. Students walked out of the classrooms one after another. Some students who had just walked out immediately saw the Audi R8 sports car by the classroom block. Wow, a sports car. It's an Audi R8. What a stunning sports car. It would be great if I could get a sports car in my lifetime. That guy has a bouquet of flowers in his hand. It seems like he's here to make a confession. Isn't he the third-year senior Lu Feng? I've heard that his family is filthy rich, and that he always drives his sports car to school. I wonder who he is confessing to today. That girl would be so lucky. If only I was her. Some students looked at the young man beside the sports car and started commenting. Many students looked towards him with eyes of envy. A rich family drives a sports car and good-looking. A guy like him is the envy of all men and the dream guy for all girls. Hearing the comments from the surrounding students, Lu Feng revealed a satisfied smile. He took a glance at Wang Xian, lifted his head proudly and kept one of his hands in his pocket. More and more students walked out of their classrooms. Some students had no intention to leave the area, as they would like to see who that lucky girl would be. She's here. At this moment, Lu Feng took out his hand from his pocket and had his eyes locked in front of him. His eyes sparkled with joy. Guan Shuqing's lesson had ended and she was carrying a bag. She tiptoed as she looked around her. When she saw Wang Xian, she walked over excitedly. Wang Xian also spotted Guan Shuqing as he extended his hand and waved at her. Shuqing. Just as Wang Xian was about to walk over, he suddenly saw the young man walk directly towards Guan Shuqing. Guan Shuqing was clearly taken aback as she looked at the young man in shock. Shuqing, from the very first time I saw you, I've fallen in love with you. Today, I've finally mustered the courage to confess to you. Lu Feng suddenly went down on one knee. He handed the fresh flowers towards Guan Shuqing and spoke with sincerity. Wow, who would have expected that the one he is confessing to would be Guan Shuqing? Oh, Guan Shuqing. She's one of the 5 goddesses of our University of Rivertown. She has a great disposition, a good figure and a great character. Lu Feng isn't bad either and is pretty handsome. I believe Guan Shuqing might accept him. Lu Feng is so rich and even drives a sports car. I guess Guan Shuqing will most likely accept him. Oh my goodness. Could it be that a beautiful girl like her is going to be attached? There were over 100 students that had gathered. Some of them even took out their mobile phones to take pictures and videos. Xuqing, would you be my girlfriend? In front of over 100 students, I promise that I will treat you well forever. I'll love you and protect you. Lu Feng said loudly, I'll get you whatever you want. If you want a sports car, I'll give one to you. If you want a bag, I'll get you the best out there. Extravagant. And a confession fully associated with materialism. A sports car that costs over $2 million by the side. A handsome Lu Feng and a sincere confession. Many girls around them were looking on in anticipation. If only they were the female protagonist, how great would it be? What a shame. A matching couple. Say yes. At this moment a girl shouted loudly. Say yes, say yes. Following this, 7 to 8 other students joined in with the chanting. Guan Xuqing, who was in the midst of this, looked at Lu Feng in shock. She had not expected him to confess to her all of a sudden. Moreover, he did it under Wang Xian's attention. This made Guan Xuqing frown, and she replied directly, I don't like you. Please don't disturb me. After completing her sentence, she walked directly towards Wang Xian. I'm sorry, Xiao Xian. I don't know him well and had not expected him to confess to me all of a sudden. Please don't take it the wrong way. Guan Xuqing quickly explained to Wang Xian. It's all right. Let's go get lunch. Wang Xian smiled and didn't take it to heart. Considering that Guan Xuqing was so beautiful, having people confessing to her wouldn't be uncommon. What was different was that this young man did it in a more high-profile manner. And at this moment Lu Feng, who was still on his knee, was completely shocked. His eyes opened wide in disbelief as he turned his head around. He saw that the girl he just confessed to was walking towards the school canteen with that teenager he saw previously. The surrounding students were also shocked by the development. What the? Guan Xuqing just went for lunch with another guy. Is that Guan Xuqing's boyfriend? Why didn't I hear about it previously? Lu Feng was rejected. He was actually rejected. He drives a sports car and had a bouquet of fresh flowers in his hand. Yet, Guan Xuqing didn't even take a further look at him, and even went for lunch with another guy. Shocking news. It looks like Guan Xuqing likes that guy. What the? Why? Who's that guy? It must be really embarrassing for Lu Feng. It isn't embarrassing to be rejected by Guan Xuqing, but to see Guan Xuqing go to the canteen with another guy for lunch must be heartbreaking. The surrounding students were discussing fervently. No one had expected this to end in such a way. Listening to the comments of the crowd and seeing Guan Xuqing's back view, his face was red from embarrassment. Recalling what he'd said to the young man previously, a surge of heat flooded to his face. Damn! Lu Feng stood up angrily and threw the bouquet of flowers in his hand into the rubbish bin by the side. Under the mocking eyes of the surrounding students, he drove off. This time he had really embarrassed himself badly. If this incident is posted to the school forum, it will definitely cause a huge hoo-ha, some students who were filming previously exclaimed. Haha, I've already uploaded it to the school forum. Things are going to get interesting. Wang Xian didn't know that he was about to get really famous. A simple love while in university and having lunch with Guan Xuqing alone at the school canteen made him feel really comfortable. The lunch lasted for half an hour and the couple walked around the school campus for another half an hour. What they didn't know was that within the school forum, the incident that had happened in the afternoon had been spreading like wildfire. Afternoon. Just as Wang Xian entered the dormitory room, 3 pairs of eyes that were filled with jealousy stared fervently at him. Old Wang, you are finally here. There's no wonder why they called you Old Wang. Wang Xian looked at them in shock and joked. What are you guys doing? Old Wang. No, it should be Brother Xian. Take a look at the school forum quickly. You are famous now. Chapter 109. The Fight Between Two Women. Lu Feng, the third-year student, drove a sports car. With flowers in his hand, he was rejected by Guan Xuqing for his confession. Guan Xuqing turned down Lu Feng's confession flatly and went lunch with another guy. Who is this guy? Guan Xuqing actually rejected Lu Feng, who drove a sports car and went to the canteen for lunch with him. Bro Lu Feng, are you heartbroken? Did you throw your face? As his roommates looked at him with bewilderment, Wang Xian opened his computer and read the messages one by one. The entire school forum was flooded with dozens of threads regarding Lu Feng's confession for Guan Shuqing. Wang Xian clicked on a thread randomly. Our third-year senior Lu Feng was in his formal attire, driving his Audi R8 sports car that was worth more than $2 million in the school. He held a beautiful bouquet of flowers and confessed to the goddess Guan Shuqing. Just when all the students thought he was going to succeed, Guan Shuqing rejected him without hesitation. She then walked off to the canteen and had lunch with a guy who was waiting for her with empty hands. All of you did not witness the mixed expression on Senior Lu Feng's face back then. A loaded person like him actually lost to a nobody. Heart-shattering. This is too heart-shattering. In addition to the text, some pictures were uploaded too. With one knee down, a guy was holding flowers with a luxurious car beside him. In the end, the girl who received the confession left with another guy. The photos were clearly taken. Guan Shuqing, Lu Feng and another guy were clearly captured in the photos. I look handsome, but Wang Xian looked at himself in the photos and gave a bitter smile. Old Wang, you're going to be famous. Damn. You are courting goddess Guan Shuqing quietly. You need to give us a treat. A treat. Zhang Wen was yelling from the bottom bunk. I don't want to be famous. Wang Xian shook his head. As he continued scrolling down, he was surprised to find a video clip. The entire incident that had happened in the afternoon was recorded in the video. This made him speechless. At the same time, Lan Qingyue was sitting in front of the computer on her desk as she browsed the school forum in the female dormitory. Her face paled, and she bit her lip tightly when she saw Wang Xian and Guan Shuqing walking side by side to the canteen. Eventually, her face revealed a determined expression. Wang Xian had gone famous. Other classes might not know him, but his own classmates would definitely recognize him. As such, all his classmates were staring at him when he arrived at his class in the afternoon. The guys were half envious, half jealous of him. Some even gave him a thumbs up. Awesome. Wang Xian chuckled. In the afternoon he had 2 lessons. With the divine dragon's body, Wang Xian's memory had attained a daunting level. Learning was far too easy for him. Just when he was in class, his phone rang suddenly. He checked his phone and realized it was a WeChat message from Lan Qingyue. Can we have dinner tonight? A shy emoticon was attached behind the text. Wang Xian got used to how Lan Qingyue chatted in a girly manner. He pondered and replied, sure. Great, do you have class in the afternoon? Yes, I'm in the midst of it, but it is going to be over soon. Okay, I'll look for you then. Okay. After he chatted with Lan Qingyue for a while, Wang Xian looked at the time. It was almost 5 p.m. Time for dinner. At this time, Lan Qingyue was dressed elegantly in a blue dress. She had a slim figure and a refined profile. She bunned her hair up, which gave her a youthful and noble vibe. While waiting for the class dismissal, Lan Qingyue stood quietly in front of the building with a bottle of water in her hand. 5 p.m. The school bell rang. Old Wang, let's have dinner together. I'm starving. Wang Dehai shouted loudly as soon as the class was over. Let's go together. Zhang Wen said in agreement. Hey, Wang Xian might not be going with you guys. With the company of a beautiful girl, who still would want to stick around with you guys? Damn, Old Wang. Are you that kind of person who forsakes friends for love? 3 of them, Wang Dehai, Zhang Wen and Zhang Feng, raised their voices as they stared at him. Wang Xian looked at them speechlessly. He said, not tonight. I'll treat you guys to dinner tomorrow. Gosh, Zhang Feng is right. Old Wang, I never expected you to be such a person. Geez, if I had such a pretty girlfriend like Guan Shuqing, I would want to stick with her all day long. Let's go and ignore this ungrateful fellow. The 3 of us will have dinner on our own. They walked out as they talked. Wang Xian shook his head without any words. He followed behind them and sent a message to Lan Qingyue. Where are you? However, he spotted a blue figure in front of the building when he walked out of his class. Wow, Lan Qingyue. It's Lan Qingyue. Lan Qingyue is extremely gorgeous. Her beauty is beyond comparison. We could only appreciate her from afar. Lan Qingyue is a well-known goddess in our school. She's even more famous than Guan Shuqing. I heard her family owns billions of assets. She's way too awesome. If I could marry a goddess like her, I'd be willing to shorten my life by 20 years. The rest of the guys, including Zhang Wen, Zhang Feng, and Wang Dehai, were commenting on her as they looked at the blue figure fervently. Guan Shuqing was a goddess, and she was known as one of the 5 goddesses in school. Same for Lan Qingyue. But Lan Qingyue enjoyed a higher reputation than Guan Shuqing in the University of Rivertown. Firstly, she was the vice-chairman of the student council. Secondly, she was a billionaire princess. Elegant, aloof, and she made people feel ashamed of themselves. Guan Shuqing received many confessions, but not Lan Qingyue, as not many guys had the confidence to do it. Even the children of the wealthy families did not dare to fool around in front of her. Elegant, aloof. This was Lan Qingyue. Hey, Lan Qingyue rarely makes an appearance in school. I wonder who she is waiting for. Wang Dehai said curiously. Perhaps it has something to do with the student council. Zhang Feng made a guess. The rest of the surrounding students were staring at Lan Qingyue with interest. Wang Xian chuckled when he overheard their conversations as he walked towards Lan Qingyue. Hey, old Wang. Where are you meeting Guan Shuqing? Asked Wang Dehai curiously as he spotted Wang Xian walking out. I'm not having dinner with Guan Shuqing. Wang Xian spun around and smiled at him. Without any words, he came to Lan Qingyue. Sorry to keep you waiting. Wang Xian looked at her and said with a smile. I just got here too. Let's go to the canteen. There's a new delicious hot plate rice. Lan Qingyue smiled as she handed the beverage to Wang Xian. This is for you. Wang Xian was a little stupefied when he looked at the pretty and gentle Lan Qingyue. Thanks. Let's go. It's been a long time since I last ate in the canteen. Lan Qingyue was tagged closely to Wang Xian as they made their way to the canteen. Wang Dehai, Zhang Wen, Zhang Feng, and the rest of the classmates were behind them. They watched them walking off with their eyes wide open. All their faces wore unbelievable looks on them. Chapter 110. Known throughout University of Rivertown 1. Shocking news. After one of the 5 goddesses, Guan Shuqing, was seen having lunch with a guy and had seemingly fallen in love, our goddess Lan Qingyue was also seen having dinner with a guy. Moreover, the guy they ate with is the same person. Their actions were intimate and looked just like a couple. The male protagonist is none other than the immoral Year 2 Wang Xian. What does the immoral Wang Xian truly possess to allow him to eat with 2 of our goddesses in the same day? What kind of scumbag is the immoral Wang Xian? Please follow our thread as we bring you into Wang Xian's life. Oh my goddesses! Please take a good look at him. He is an immoral beast to go out with 2 of you in the same day. That's a disgraceful breach of norms. The immoral Year 2 Wang Xian. A godlike existence. Deserving of our worship. The school forum was a lot more raucous today than normal. However, the comments on the forum also made countless people dumbfounded. The first was Guan Shuqing rejecting a guy's confession and going to the canteen with another guy for lunch. And the second was their goddess Lan Qingyue, meeting up with the same guy for dinner. This was a tragic development as it dealt consecutive blows to the fragile minds of many male students. However, what made countless male students enraged was that the one who accompanied goddess Guan Shuqing for lunch and goddess Lan Qingyue for dinner was the same person. The same Year 2 guy. If there were 2 different guys, the other male students might just drown their sorrows with alcohol in memory of their crushes. However, if there was only one guy, that's a different story. What they wanted to do the most currently was to turn that scumbag, the immoral Wang Xian, into memories. That's right. He's an immoral beast. It would have been fine if he had just gone out with one of their goddesses. However, he went for both goddesses at the same time, having lunch with Guan Shuqing and dinner with Lan Qingyue in the same day. This asshole. They couldn't even get one and now a guy had gotten both of them. Who could tolerate this? No one could. They had to expose this immoral beast and let their 2 goddesses see the true character of this man. And to also let the huge female cohort in the University of Rivertown know the existence of this immoral beast, Wang Xian. If the incident in the afternoon made Wang Xian famous, What happened at night made his name known throughout the entire University of Rivertown. When Wang Xian returned to his dormitory room, he immediately sensed 3 pairs of intense eyes looking towards him. "Io! Our immoral beast old Wang is back." A voice filled with jealousy and envy sounded from Wang Dahai. Huh? Wang Xian paused and looked at Wang Dahai, feeling puzzled. "Damn! And you are still looking at me with those innocent eyes. Old Wang, I believe it will be better for you if you lock the door to the room. Otherwise, I'm afraid there will be people charging in to beat you up." Looking at how Wang Xian had reacted, Wang Dahai gritted his teeth in anger. Having lunch with Guan Shuqing in the afternoon. Having dinner with Lan Qingyue at night. Immoral beast. Haze. Comparing would only make one feel inferior. Old Wang, if you weren't our roommate, we would definitely beat you up severely. Zhang Wen exhaled slowly and looked as though he wanted to eradicate the scourge for the greater population. What exactly happened? Wang Xian looked at them and still had no idea what was happening. Take a look at the forum yourself. When the 3 of them saw his innocent expression, they gritted their teeth and remarked in unison. Wang Xian shrugged his shoulders, walked to his study desk immediately and loaded the school forum webpage. What the hell? When he saw the entire forum being overwhelmed by the same message, he couldn't help but blurt vulgarities. It was especially so when he saw the word in front of his name. He was on the verge of spitting blood. Immoral beast Wang Xian. Asshole. When he clicked into each thread, all the comments were condemning him. They were condemning him for being a two-timer, and for overreaching for someone way beyond his league. Some threads even published his personal particulars. However, they were quickly removed by the moderator. Wang Xian saw the liveliest thread had over 8,000 comments. What the hell? There are only a total of 10,000 plus students in the University of Rivertown. I'm not a two-timer. Wang Xian shook his head bitterly and mumbled. You are not? Explain yourself then. Why did you eat lunch with Guan Shuqing in the afternoon? Why did you eat dinner with Lan Qingyue at night? At this moment, 3 grudgeful voices sounded. Wang Xian turned his head around and saw 3 guys staring at him with resentment. Even though Zhang Wen and Zhang Feng already had girlfriends, this fact did not stop them from condemning Wang Xian. After all, the 2 goddesses of the University of Rivertown had rumors with the same guy, and this infuriated many others. After listening to them, Wang Xian twiddled his fingers. He was feeling complicated. In his heart and undoubtedly, he had seen Guan Shuqing as his girlfriend. As for Lan Qingyue, although it wasn't at the level of a girlfriend, Wang Xian naturally wished to be together with this girl from the bottom of his heart. He could also sense Lan Qingyue's admiration of him. But, with today's laws and societal norms, this was clearly difficult. It was especially so as the 2 girls would most likely find this hard to accept. Even if the 2 girls could agree, their parents would not. It was especially so for Lan Qingyue. Her family was wealthy, and she would be the future successor. Why would her parents allow her to suffer such grievances? Can you give me a cigarette? Wang Xian felt irritated all of a sudden. Although he didn't know how to smoke, he still asked for one from Wang Dahai. Damn, still want a cigarette? You better tell us everything now. What are your relationships with the 2 goddesses? Wang Dahai looked at him, feeling speechless, but he still gave him a cigarette. He even lit it for Wang Xian. Wang Xian took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. The smoke lingered around him. Wang Dahai and the group found this to be very pretentious. If you let me choose. Wang Xian took another puff. In his mind, 2 figures appeared. Nonetheless, he would have a clear answer if he had to make a choice at this moment. Guan Shuqing. Wang Xian answered. You are choosing. You. The trio didn't really care about his final decision. What they cared about was Wang Xian's reaction. Choose. You are actually thinking of choosing. Both goddesses were the dream girls of any man, and they would work their hardest just to be with either one of them. Bzz. This moment his phone rang. It was the notification sound of WeChat. Wang Xian looked across and saw 3 pairs of burning eyes staring at his phone. Coincidentally, another message was sent over. These messages were from 2 people, Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue. Wang Xian could feel 3 pairs of cold eyes staring at him. He felt helpless and revealed a bitter look. Taking his phone with him, he jumped onto his bed. All right. I'm sleeping now," he yelled and unlocked his phone. Guan Shuqing's message was, "What are you doing now? Are you not going to the library tonight?" Lan Qingyue's message was, "I'm sorry, Wang Xian. I might have caused you trouble." Looking at these 2 messages, Wang Xian felt conflicting emotions. Guan Shuqing couldn't possibly not know about the school forum. However, she didn't question Wang Xian. She ignored those comments and didn't condemn Wang Xian at all. This was trust and unconditional belief in Wang Xian. Lan Qingyue was apologizing to him for what had occurred at night, and wasn't concerned about how this would affect her reputation. This was sacrifice. With 2 girls sacrificing so much for him, what else could he possibly ask for? Chapter 111. Known throughout University of Rivertown too. Wang Xian did not sleep a wink last night. His thoughts kept him awake until 3 a.m., and he continued with his cultivation until 7 a.m. When the 4 of them, including Wang Xian and Wang Dehai, arrived at the canteen in the morning, Wang Xian could see people pointing fingers at him. He could even sense the gazes from people who could not wait to kill him off. "We are sworn enemies now that you've taken our goddesses away." The trio distanced him instinctively. In their words they said, "Old Wang, you are notorious in the university now. We have to distance ourselves from you. Otherwise, it will be hard for us to find girlfriends." Wang Xian was speechless when the 4 of them came to the canteen to have a high-profile breakfast. Wang Xian was feeling helpless. He should not have taken lunch and dinner with the girls. When he was back in class, Wang Xian felt all eyes on him again. The envy, hatred, and jealousy coming from his male classmates annoyed him. He had 2 classes today. After his class, he went out of school instead of going to the field with Wang Dehai. "You are Wang Xian." All of a sudden, a few guys were in his way, glaring at him when he had just left the classroom building. Wang Xian froze for a while. He raised his eyebrows and looked at the people in front of him. Eventually, his eyes fixed on the student who was at the center of the group. The guy was about 1.85 meters tall, good-looking, and looked charming. Wang Xian knew his name. Su Qingjing, a Year 3 student. He was the president of Taekwondo Club with a 4th Dan black belt. He had also won the championship of the Rivertown Taekwondo District competition. If it were not for age limit, his black belt Dan would be higher. In the University of Rivertown, not only the 5 goddesses were the famous ones. They had 3 rather well-known guys that were commonly known as the campus hunks or the Prince Charmings. There were several good-looking guys in the school, but only 3 of them were the official recognized Prince Charmings. Su Qingcheng was one of them. Being the president of the Taekwondo Club, he enjoyed high popularity in the school. The other 2 were a famous internet celebrity and a mystery student who was known as Mr. Feng among the students. "Can I help you?" asked Wang Xian as he looked at Su Qingcheng emotionlessly. "Nothing. I just want to check out what kind of guy you are, who can date 2 goddesses in a day." As Su Qingcheng spoke, he circled Wang Xian and observed him from head to toe. Upon seeing his brazen behavior, Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. "I don't like guys." He continued his way out after he spoke. Su Qingcheng hesitated after hearing him. "You're humorous, pal." As he spoke, he stopped in front of Wang Xian and blocked his way. "Get out of my way." Wang Xian was already feeling irritated. When he saw Su Qingcheng's provocative behavior, he could not help but bawl at him impatiently. "Her." When Su Qingcheng heard that, his face sank as he stared at Wang Xian with cold eyes. "Lad, you're bold. How dare you speak to me like this?" "Brother Cheng, he's so arrogant. TSK. I wonder how he managed to take the 2 goddesses out." A guy walked over and said as he glared at Wang Xian. "If you have something to say, spit it out. If you don't, then get out of my way. I don't have time for you," Wang Xian said impatiently. Seeing the 4 playful and impudent guys around him, he would have given them a slap if they were not in school. How arrogant! When Su Qingcheng heard what Wang Xian said, he clenched his fists slightly. "Of course I have something for you. I just wanted to check out what ability you possess, such that you can date the two goddesses, in particular Lan Qingyue. I need to see if you're worthy of them. Show me your capability or your background. While Su Qingcheng was talking, he stretched his body. He looked at him with a cold smirk at his lips. Otherwise, I'm going to embarrass you. Currently, many people were pissed off with Wang Xian, but the majority of them only expressed it on the forum. Even though some mentioned that they wanted to fight with Wang Xian, none of them really did. However, others might be afraid of doing so, but not Su Qingcheng. He was one of the few guys who had wooed Lan Qingyue before. But he failed in the end, which made him a sour grape. Yesterday, Su Qingcheng was surprised to hear about Lan Qingyue having dinner with the guy. He wanted to see how the guy looked. He wanted to see how this guy got into the book of Lan Qingyue. What? Are you picking a fight? Wang Xian stared coldly at them. No, as a student, how can we pick a fight? This is called sparring. Come to our taekwondo club for sparring. A smile surfaced on Su Qingcheng's face again as he spoke with a casual expression. I have no time. Wang Xian had a disdainful look in his eyes. You? You want to spar with me with your taekwondo? Haha. Wang Xian ignored him totally and walked forward again. Su Qingcheng did not give way to him. Neither did Wang Xian stop. So he went on to knock into him. Her. When Su Qingcheng saw him coming, his eyes were filled with sarcasm. He moved away and stepped out of Wang Xian's way, gazing in the direction he left. Brother Cheng, this fellow is too cocky. Why don't we teach him a lesson? The three guys next to him pointed at Wang Xian and spoke as he left. Su Qingcheng stared at the guy who spoke with an unpleasant look. Sorry, Brother Cheng. I forgot about it. When that guy saw Su Qingcheng's displeased eyes, he quickly apologized. Su Qingcheng had been a troublemaker in the school since year 1. In the beginning, the school was lenient to him since he was the champion of the Rivertown's Taekwondo district competition. Subsequently, he made frequent troubles, affecting the school's reputation. Hence, the school gave him a warning. If he continued to create trouble, he would be expelled from the school. This finally stopped him. However, it did not mean that he could not spar with others. He is arrogant, but he must be capable of being arrogant. If that's the case, I'll make sure you lose your face utterly. Su Qingcheng looked at Wang Xian and let out a faint smile. Go to the school forum and issue a challenge on it. Then, Su Qingcheng smiled. If he could teach Wang Xian a lesson at this time, he would gain higher popularity. At the same time, he could show Lan Qingyue that the guy she favored was totally useless. He wanted to prove that he was the best. Sure, Brother Cheng. Leave this to us. This time, we'll show him the power of our taekwondo in the University of Rivertown. Okay. Su Qingcheng nodded with confidence and walked away. Wang Xian was not even thinking about Su Qingcheng as he walked to the first-grade restaurant. He needed to speed up the preparation of the medical hall and quickly get the business running. The speed of constructing the Dragon Palace would depend on the business of the medical center. However, Wang Xian did not know that the school forum was set ablaze again with the topic of him. This time it was the challenge from Su Qingcheng. Chapter 112. Known throughout University of Rivertown 3. Director Wang, I have negotiated the terms with the boss of the shop next door. As the floor area isn't that big, the sale price would be $7 million. If you want to rent it, it will be $50,000 a month. In the office of first-grade restaurant, Manager Huang reported to Wang Xian. Try to negotiate the price down a little and buy it directly. After which, find a good interior designer for me. Inform me again when everything's done. Wang Xian said to Manager Huang. All right, Director Wang. Leave this to me. Manager Huang nodded his head. Wang Xian nodded his head. Looking at the earnings over the last few days, the earnings had remained at the level of approximately $1.5 million. Now that first-grade restaurant had basically reached its maximum capacity, it would be hard to improve on these earnings. This was because the restaurant size was fixed and the number of customers they could get each day was limited. After having lunch in the shop, Wang Xian headed back to the school. That's Wang Xian. Look, it's him. Yeah, it's him. He's pretty good looking. However, it's unreal that he could make two goddesses fall in love with him. Perhaps Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue weren't really interested in him, and were simply having a meal with him. Did you see it? Su Qingcheng said that he wants to challenge him on the school forum. He's interested to see why he is qualified to have dinner with Lan Qingyue. Really? Su Qingcheng is a black belt taekwondo expert. No one is a match for him in the entire University of Rivertown. In fact, not many people in the entire Rivertown could possibly defeat him. Challenging Wang Xian would be like toying with him. I believe Wang Xian wouldn't be that dumb to accept the challenge and spar with Su Qingcheng. Su Qingcheng has only said he would like to have a simple sparring with him. Sparring could be in other aspects. However, if Wang Xian did not accept, he would be a coward and be the butt of the joke in the University of Rivertown. He has to accept it. Walking on the pathway through the campus, Wang Xian could vaguely hear the discussions of the surrounding students. He frowned slightly as he walked towards his dormitory. Old Wang, you are back. Just as he stepped into the room, Wang Dehai immediately turned over and greeted him. There was only him in the room. Zhang Wen and Zhang Feng must be accompanying their girlfriends currently. As for Wang Dehai, it was a rare occasion that he wasn't playing games. Instead, he was staring at the computer. Huh? Did something happen again? Wang Xian asked directly. While he was walking back, he had heard a little about it. Old Wang, don't be angry when you see this. Su Qingcheng is being too arrogant just because he has some strength. I despise this type of person the most. Wang Dehai rambled on. Wang Xian walked to his study desk and switched on his computer. Wang Dehai immediately brought his chair over and sat beside Wang Xian. Old Wang, I feel that you shouldn't have to entertain this guy. One of the three Prince Charmings? Shucks. He's still not as incredible as our old Wang. Wang Dehai was commenting from the side while Wang Xian clicked into the forum to take a look. One of the threads had over 9,000 replies. Once again, there was a thread that had a relatively large number of replies. Wang Xian clicked into the thread. It was created by Su Qingcheng. The content of the thread was as follows. There's a man of the hour in our school recently. Yeah, he's the second-year student Wang Xian who ate with two goddesses in a day. I won't be going to the details as I believe everyone would have known about this. Currently, he is given the nickname Immoral Beast Wang Xian. That's an elegant nickname. Today I would like to invite the Immoral Beast Wang Xian. Oops, a slip of the tongue. Haha. I'd like to invite him to spar. I would like to see what you are capable of. Sparring is not limited to just violence. Could also be in many other aspects. Show me what you are capable of. I'm really curious. Haha, if you aren't a coward, look for me, Su Qingcheng at the Taekwondo gym. It wasn't a very long thread but fully showed how Su Qingcheng had taunted Wang Xian. It was full of mockery. In the comments section, there were also a lot of people supporting the idea. Wang Xian eating with their two goddesses had ignited the anger of the majority of the male student population. It was especially clear from the pictures taken that Wang Xian was acting very intimate with Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue. This further infuriated many. It's fine if you just date one of them. However, you are a scumbag for being a two-timer. Unforgivable. Wang Xian looked through the thread but kept his composure. Su Qingcheng. Wang Xian sank into deep thought. In that case, I'll just make him the example. I'll probably save myself a lot of trouble too. Wang Xian thought to himself and stood up gradually. Old Wang. Where are you going? Seeing that emotionless look, Wang Dehai quickly asked him. To the Taekwondo club, said Wang Xian. What? You are really thinking of going? Old Wang, forget it. Just forget it. That Su Qingcheng is really strong. We don't have to entertain him. They are just a bunch of jealous dudes. Wang Dehai spoke immediately. He was really worried that Wang Xian would go. Su Qingcheng had a black belt in Taekwondo after all. If Wang Xian went ahead and sparred with him, even if Wang Xian wasn't severely injured, he would likely be humiliated. Relax, I wouldn't go if I was not confident. Wang Xian shook his head slightly and smiled. Wang Dehai knew Wang Xian was a little stubborn. He shook his head and said, all right then. I'll go with you. Let's go. Wang Xian nodded his head and walked straight to the Taekwondo Club. Taekwondo Club was a relatively large club in the University of Rivertown. Taekwondo originated from Korea but was very popular within the country. This was because of the way of thinking of the past generations. Martial arts from the country wouldn't be imparted to external parties, let alone ancient martial arts. As for Taekwondo, Wang Xian had no comment on it. The clubs in Rivertown had their activities congregated in an area. When Wang Xian walked towards the Taekwondo club, he immediately attracted many people's attention. Isn't that the Year 2 student Wang Xian? Could it be that he is heading to the Taekwondo club? Looking at where he is heading, he must be going to the Taekwondo club. Su Qingcheng just issued him a challenge recently. Could it be that he's going there to accept it? This is interesting. Let's go. Let's follow and take a look. Wang Xian is accepting Su Qingcheng's invitation. This is going to be interesting. If he chooses to fight with Su Qingcheng, this will likely turn out to be tragic for him. Hurry. Let's go. We can post it on the forum later, and it will definitely shock the entire school. The students along the way followed behind in excitement as they headed towards the Taekwondo club. Wang Xian didn't mind the growing crowd behind him and arrived at the entrance of the Taekwondo club. Creak. Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. Walking to the door, he pushed the door open directly. The Taekwondo club had a huge room, and there were many students still wearing Taekwondo uniforms while practicing. When the door was pushed open, some members looked out inquisitively. Wang Xian stood at the entrance and swept his eyes across before walking in slowly. Get Su Qingcheng over. Tell him that Wang Xian is here. Some members of the Taekwondo looked over with sarcasm. He's here. It's time to see how our captain will torture him. Chapter 113 known throughout University of Rivertown 4. Sarcastic laughter was heard in the Taekwondo club. Most of the members had only mocking expressions when they saw the young man at the door. They looked relaxed as though they were watching a show. They did not regard Wang Xian highly even though he was here for the challenge. Sparring with their president was as good as getting bashed by their president. Hey lad. Wait over here. I'll get our president here. A burly member gazed disdainfully at Wang Xian from head to toe. Hurry up, I'm busy. Wang Xian looked at that member before he walked impassively to a chair. Humph, how arrogant. I hope you can remain arrogant later. Seeing the impatient look on Wang Xian, that member snorted and went to the back of the club. People who had followed Wang Xian to the Taekwondo club were standing around with interest. In less than a minute, Su Qingcheng appeared with 5 members behind him. All of them fixed their eyes on Wang Xian, who was sitting in the chair. Su Qingcheng displayed a mocking expression on his face. He did not expect that Wang Xian would run over here. Some courage you've got. Not a coward, huh? Su Qingcheng slowly walked towards Wang Xian. The way he gazed at Wang Xian was as though he was almighty. Wang Xian hated this kind of person. Self-flattering. I don't have time for you people. Su Qingcheng, show me your best. I want to see if you're formidable like what others have said. Wang Xian stood up and stared at Su Qingcheng. Brother Cheng, this fellow is too cocky. You don't even have to step out. I can take him on. Before Su Qingcheng could say anything, the burly member spoke his mind. He stared at Wang Xian with a dismissive look as he stretched his well-built body. Wang Xian was 1.75 meters tall. He was not very tall and he was quite skinny. As such, none of the long-time members of the Taekwondo club regarded him highly. How can you be such a bully? Su Qingcheng gestured for him to shut up. He put on a smiling face and looked at Wang Xian. I've made myself clear on the forum. This is just sparring. There is no restriction to the type of martial arts used. Anything will do. Let me see the capability of this highly acclaimed character. I want to know how qualified he is to dine with Lan Qingyue and Guan Shuqing. Wang Xian laughed at his words as he threw a taunting look at Su Qingcheng. Save me that look. You asked me here to show off yourself. Since you want to have some fun, I'll do it with you. Let's do some sparring. The smile on Su Qingcheng froze on his face when he heard what Wang Xian said. He looked coldly at Wang Xian. Fine, since you're courting your own doom, I'll grant your wish. Heh heh. Wang Xian looked at the sparring arena in the center of the club. With a face full of smiles, he walked towards it. Enjoy the walk. You might be carried out of this place later. Su Qingqing's cold voice came from behind him. Old Wang, are you confident? Wang Dehai next to him asked him with concerns. Wang Xian gave him an assuring look. They're really sparring. Hurry, let's get a good seat. Before we comment on the fight, Wang Xian is indeed courageous to begin with. Courageous, my ass. Sparring with Su Qingqing is simply looking for his own trouble. Haha. I really want to see Su Qingqing. The surrounding students were exhilarated as the two of them headed to the arena. All of them quickly circled around the arena. Brother Cheng, you don't even have to dirty your hands. This is overkill. A few guys around Su Qingqing looked at Wang Xian and said disdainfully. It's okay. I'll not use both hands and give him some handicaps. If not, someone will think I'm a bully. Su Qingqing looked at the figure in front of him with a smiling face. An idea came to him. He looked at the few people beside him and continued later, you'll go live on the forum so that all students in the University of Rivertown will know him. Live? Some of the members brightened their eyes and chuckled, sure, Brother Cheng. Leave this to us. Going live on the forum did not mean video streaming, but more like updates using images. One of the members took his phone out and snapped a few photos of Wang Xian. Oh. Subsequently, he found a few more angles to take charming photos for Su Qingqing. He opened the school forum and drew his lips slightly while starting a new thread. Title: Who Will Kneel? Su Qingqing the Prince Charming vs. Wang Xian the Beast with a handicap of 2 hands. He had a smirk when he looked at the headline and photos he posted. Edit send. Wang Xian and Su Qingqing walked into the ring, which was surrounded by hundreds of students. Many students took out their phones, ready to record this PK match. The members of the Taekwondo club were spectating the match with ease. They were waiting for their president to abuse his target. You still turn up despite knowing you'll lose. Lad, you aren't really that lousy. Su Qingqing stood around casually in his white Taekwondo robe, criticizing Wang Xian. It was as if a teacher was reviewing a student. Why not this? I'll not use either of my hands. Su Qingqing went on. He placed his hands behind his back, protruding the black belt on his waist. This symbolized his strength. Wow, Senior Su Qingqing is simply too cool. Such generosity by not using his hands. Prince Charming Su Qingqing is too domineering. This is the stance that a powerhouse should adopt. Comparing him to Wang Xian is just an evil clown. The students outside of the ring were deeply impressed by Su Qingqing. He was looking mighty with his hands behind his back. The member who was posting on the forum took a few snapshots excitedly. His caption was written as the look of a winner. Wow, that Wang Xian accepted the challenge from Senior Su Qingqing. I'm in the dormitory now. I wonder if I can still make it to watch how Senior Su Qingqing knocks out Wang Xian with a kick. Su Qingqing already gave him the leeway by not using his hands. Wang Xian will be embarrassed if he can't even block 10 strokes from him. Thread owner, please update soon. We want to see the photos of how Beast Wang Xian was beaten to a pulp. You must take more photos. There were more than hundreds of replies below the thread that was started not long ago. The excitement was all over that member's face. I'll let you start first. Just then, Su Qingqing's voice was heard from the ring again. He tilted his head slightly and sneered at him. Do it. This is your only chance to strike. Haha. President, let's not talk about giving him a 2-hands handicap. Even if you use just your leg, you can also send him flying with a kick. Confident and sarcastic voices came from a group of Taekwondo members outside the ring. Chapter 114 known throughout University of Rivertown 5. Su Qingqing, why are you kicking up a fuss? In the Taekwondo club, just as Wang Xian was about to cripple this arrogant guy with a slap, a loud roar pierced through the atmosphere. The surrounding crowd, who was ready for a show, turned around and looked in shock. All they saw was a middle-aged man in a taekwondo suit rushing over. He had the same black belt over his waist and looked worried. "Coach! Coach!" The members of the club quickly greeted despite being surprised by the middle-aged man. The middle-aged coach wasn't bothered and walked up to the ring with a heavy expression. His gaze swept past Wuxia and his heart palpitated rapidly. After which, he turned to his student and stared angrily at him. "Coach, why are you here?" Su Qingcheng was startled to see his coach. "If I didn't come, would you expect me to accept your actions silently?" Yan Hu was furious and gave Su Qingcheng a harsh stare. He took a deep breath and walked towards Wuxia. "I'm sorry, Wuxia. My student couldn't tell what's good for him and has offended you. I'll teach him a lesson personally." The middle-aged coach spoke with great respect. He didn't know much about Wuxia, but he knew that Wuxia was a person that even Director Sun had to show great respect to from the incident on that night. Director Sun was a friend of a higher social status that he got into contact with by coincidence. On that night, Director Sun had also invited him. Therefore, he knew what had happened in the bar. After that incident, he heard some information from Director Sunday. This young man wasn't from a family with a strong background, but was one with truly incredible strength. This strength was referring to human strength. As a 9th Dan Taekwondo expert who had reached the epitome of Taekwondo, his battle prowess was extraordinary. Even so, he also knew some things that ordinary people didn't. That was none other than ancient martial arts. Against ancient martial arts, the Taekwondo that he practiced was no more than playing house. At this moment, this student of his had offended such an expert. He must be truly eager to die. The other party could even kill you before anyone noticed it. Wuxia looked at this middle-aged coach with doubts. Yan Hu saw his puzzled looks and immediately explained. "Hi, student. You might not recognize me, but I was lucky to have met you at the bar that night. I'm a friend of Director Sunday." Wuxia nodded his head and looked to Su Qingcheng. "Su Qingcheng, apologize now." Seeing that Wuxia had turned to Su Qingcheng, Yan Hu quickly shouted, "Coach, you!" Su Qingcheng looked at his coach in disbelief. He couldn't understand why his teacher would be chiding him, or why his coach would apologize to the other party. Moreover, he was even doing so with great respect. One should know that his coach was a 9th Dan black belt and had even clinched the title of the national Taekwondo champion. It was also because of the teachings of his incredible coach that he managed to achieve what he had today. "Apologize? To challenge young Master Wang with your strength, are you courting a beating? Even I am not a match for young Master Wang. Do you think you would be? If I hadn't seen the thread in the school forum by coincidence, I wouldn't have known that you are so brazen." Yan Hu chided Su Qingcheng angrily. "What?" Su Qingcheng's eyes stared wide open and looked at his own coach in disbelief. "What did I just hear? Coach said that he isn't a match for him. How can this be? My coach is a 9th Dan black belt. Are you turning a deaf ear to what I've said?" Yan Hu looked at him and continued. Seeing his coach's expression, Su Qingcheng looked around unwilling and said with a blushing face, I'm sorry." He didn't dare to defy his coach's words and his coach wouldn't lie to him. However, he still couldn't understand why his coach wouldn't be a match for Wuxia. What just happened? What just happened? The surrounding crowd looked at the sudden twist in development in disbelief. They had all believed that Su Qingcheng would give Wuxia a painful lesson. However, before their fight even started, Coach Yan Hu suddenly rushed over. Coach Yan Hu was a pretty well-known figure in the University of Rivertown. He had taken on over 10 street ruffians by himself when they came to school to cause trouble. It was also because of that incident that Coach Yan Hu shot to stardom and made the Taekwondo Club the hottest student club in the University of Rivertown. And now Coach Yan actually apologized to Wuxia, and even claimed that he wasn't a match for Wuxia. Everyone was astonished. It was especially so for the members of the Taekwondo Club. They were puzzled over Coach Yan Hu's words. However, since they were from Coach Yan Hu, they had no reason to doubt the authenticity of them. In the crowd, those students who had come over to watch a show looked towards the Taekwondo Club members. Some of them were shocked, but there were also some who looked at the members with mockery. Just a while ago, they had seen their disdainful looks on Wang Xian. And now their coach ran out to apologize and even made Su Qingqing do the same. Twist. Major twist of events. Wang Xian hadn't even moved a finger, and the outcome of this matter had been clear as crystal. The Taekwondo club members sensed the gazes from the surrounding crowd, and their faces turned a little red from embarrassment. As for that student who was using his phone to update the situation on the thread, he stood there in complete shock. Seeing that there were still students constantly replying, his face sank. What should I do now? Continue to update. Am I supposed to say that the sparring did not happen because their coach arrived? That he even apologized to Wang Xian and stated that he wasn't a match for Wang Xian? That he is here to reprimand Su Qingqing for being brazen and courting death, and even made Su Qingqing apologize. If I send this out, Su Qingqing will be completely embarrassed. How could he even lift his head in front of Wang Xian in the future? However, even if I don't post, those students who were here to witness would also spread this out. Damn! At this moment, he suddenly saw someone had updated the situation on his behalf in the thread he had started. Picture after picture and word after word. Just as the two of them were about to fight, Coach Yan rushed over and apologized to Wang Xian personally. He even claimed to not be a match for the other party. Coach Yan made Su Qingqing apologize, and Su Qingqing did so with a flushing red face. Those Taekwondo club members who were mocking Wang Xian previously just got a tight slap to their faces. If their coach isn't a match for Wang Xian, how are they qualified to mock him? The updates continued and many had pictures attached. That student blacked out. He couldn't hide it. This incident couldn't be hidden anymore. I'm sorry, Wang Xian, I'm sorry. At this moment in the ring, Coach Yan brought Su Qingqing over, bowed and apologized. This action stunned the crowd once again. Wang Xian frowned upon seeing their actions. He didn't say another word and headed for the exit. Behind him, Wang Dehai followed behind excitedly. Even he had not expected things to have developed in such a manner. Wang Xian strolled towards the exit under the gaze of the crowd. When he reached the exit, he suddenly stopped. He lifted his head and saw a signboard 3 meters above the door. On the signboard were 2 words, Taekwondo Club. He smirked. Coach Yan had rushed over to apologize to him personally. He was a coach and was acting respectfully towards Wang Xian. This made it hard for Wang Xian to press on the matter. However, he wasn't pleased with Su Qingqing and the club members. When he walked in, they were all looking at him with despisement. Taekwondo Club. Wang Xian smirked. To the astonishment of the crowd, he jumped lightly and smashed violently at the signboard with a kick. Bam! Shattered. Chapter 115, known throughout University of Rivertown 6. Nobody was expecting such an end. Su Qingqing bowed and apologized to Wang Xian, who was invited for sparring, even though they did not fight. Even Coach Yan, who said he was not a match for Wang Xian. He even made a respectful apology to him. How strong is Wang Xian? How domineering is he? Did you see how Wang Xian leaped 2 meters high when he left the Taekwondo club? He smashed the signboard with just a kick. That was an outright slap to their faces. Su Qingqing shamed himself much this time. He and the entire Taekwondo club's members mocked Wang Xian just now. Now they couldn't even make a sound when Wang Xian smashed their signboard. What a shame. Su Qingqing will have to avoid Wang Xian at all costs in the future. Breaking opening with a dramatic ending. Naughty Su Qingqing challenged Wang Xian, but his father liked Coach Yan, who slapped him awake and got him to apologize. How interesting. I wonder how formidable Wang Xian is, such that even Coach Yan, who admitted that he was not a match. Moreover, from the way Wang Xian smashed the signboard when he left, I could tell that he's superb. The school forum erupted into commotion again. Incidents involving Wang Xian had become more captivating in the last 2 days. The thread that was posted by the member of the Taekwondo club had more than 10,000 replies. Since this incident involved Wang Xian and Su Qingqing, the Prince Charming, it was expected to draw all the students' attention in the school. Power, old Wang. You're simply too domineering. Wang Dehai said to Wang Xian with a face full of admiration when they were on their way. Wang Xian had arrived at the Taekwondo club, and confronted everyone with composure. Even when he smashed the signboard with a kick, he looked incredibly cool. No wonder both Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue goddesses fancy you. I'm also beginning to like you, old Wang. Get lost, I have no interest in you. Wang Xian peered at him. Continue to look for your sister, Su Qian. Hey, there's no need to since we've been keeping contact for the past 2 days. Now you stirred such a commotion. I'm sure Su Qian will be curious and find out things from me. Wang Dehai spoke with some pride. He could sense love on its way. Wang Xian shook his head without any words. I will be busy for the next few days. Apply for leave from the counselor on my behalf. If you send beverages to Su Qian every day, remember to give one to my sister too. Leave? Old Wang, what are you busy with? Wang Dehai was slightly stunned as he asked doubtfully. I have something to attend to. It should take about 1 or 2 weeks, Wang Xian replied. He was going to use these few days to search the entire Bohai Sea for any resources that could be tapped like a sinking ship. In addition, he also needed to proceed with the medical hall. Wang Xian did not mind if this delayed his studies now. The school was not important to him anymore. He would have dropped out of school if his sister did not report to school, so he had to keep her company for a while. All he wanted to pursue was the starry sky and the ocean. All right, old Wang. Don't worry about your sister. Leave her in my hands. Wang Dehai patted his chest. He understood that Wang Xian was now undergoing tremendous changes. As a buddy, he did not probe further as long as his buddy was doing well. Get lost. What do you mean by leaving her in your hands? I'm just going away for a few days. Wang Dehai patted hard on Wang Dehai's shoulder. Stop it, old Wang. Stop it. You're so formidable now. All my fault. My fault. Wang Dehai screamed immediately and briskly walked to the dormitory. Wang Xian chuckled and followed behind him. After 4 to 5 hours of propagation, almost all the students knew about the incident on the school forum. When Wang Xian walked along the path in school in the afternoon, many people continued to point and gossip about him. What made the difference was the curiosity and respect in the eyes of many. The sarcasm, disdain, and even jealousy in the looks was not as much as before. Wang Xian came to the office to apply for a week's leave from the counselor. Wang Xian managed to do so after answering all the curious questions from the counselor. He paused and took out his phone to send a message to Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue after he walked out of the office. He told both of them that he would be away for 2 days and he might be uncontactable. Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyue. Wang Xian mumbled the 2 names and shook his head. If he had to choose either one of them now, he probably will pick Guan Shuqing. These past few days, Guan Shuqing had been using her free time to settle some of the accounts of the first-grade restaurant. She was a girl who had no complaints about her work, and she was poor in expressing herself. Wang Xian liked her because he felt comfortable with her. Guan Shuqing was listening attentively to the teacher in her class. When the phone buzzed, she froze slightly when she read Wang Xian's message. She knew what had happened during the past few days, just like she knew that Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue went out for dinner. Yet, she did not comment on anything, nor did she question him either. Guan Shuqing felt that her silent effort would eventually pay off. That was her character, and she believed Wang Xian liked her. Take care and let me know once you're back, Guan Shuqing replied. Sure. Wang Xian felt a heartwarming feeling when he saw Guan Shuqing's reply. Buzz. At the same time, his phone buzzed again with the arrival of Lan Qingyue's message. Is there anything I can do to help? I've brought you enough troubles for the past 2 days. No, I'm just going to be busy for the next 2 days. Just letting you know beforehand as there might be no signal then. Lan Qingyue's reply was totally different from Guan Shuqing's. Back at the office building in the city center, Lan Qingyue was sitting in front of her computer in her formal attire. She was frowning when she looked at Wang Xian's message. She knew what had happened during these 2 days in school. Was it me who made him feel irritated, hence he? Lan Qingyue was thinking a little too much. She bit her lips. Blame it on those people who love to gossip in school. She took a deep breath and logged into the school forum. Since she was the vice chairman of the student council, all the students knew her forum ID. Create post. 1. I hope everyone will stop discussing Xiaoxian and me. 2. Whatever that happened between Xiaoxian, Guanshuqing and I is only between us. I hope no one will make any wild guesses or even slanderings. 3. Fair competition. After Lan Qingyue wrote 3 lines, she posted out immediately. She was in a daze when she looked at the thread that was posted out. She thought she should not have brought troubles to Wang Xian. At the same time, she would not give up. Even though she might get hurt in the end, all she wanted was a fair competition. Chapter 116 Water Monkey. Wang Xian rode his heavy-duty motorcycle from the school. What he didn't know was that his name had once again caused an uproar in the school forum. A thread from Lan Qingyue had made Wang Xian's name known throughout the University of Rivertown. As for Wang Xian, his name had truly spread to the entire University of Rivertown. Everyone would know about him and hear about him. He had captured the hearts of 2 goddesses and even made Lan Qingyue made the comment on fair competition. This made all the male students spit out a mouthful of blood. Why? Why isn't it me whom the goddess has fallen in love with? If I was the one, you wouldn't have to compete with anyone. Wang Xian's name was even known by the new batch of Year 1 students. Xiao Yu was naturally thrilled to see 2 goddess-level beauties pursue her brother, and was trying to find out more about Guanshuqing and Lan Qingyue. She would like to know which sister-in-law would be better. However, what she got was the same 2 words. Perfect goddess. Oh. After riding his motorcycle to the seaside, Wang Xian walked towards the forefront of a fish farm. There was a vessel that was parking by the side. Dragon King. On the vessel, the 4 Dragonians immediately greeted with great respect the moment they saw Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded his head and boarded the vessel. The vessel spanned approximately 40 meters. It wasn't huge and wasn't a luxury yacht. It was simply a shipping vessel used for transportation. The vessel moved quickly and soon they arrived at the deserted island in the middle of the seas. At this moment there were over 1,000 people constructing on the island. When the construction was completed, Dragon Sect would enter the ranks of the ancient martial artist families and make its name known throughout the country. Wang Xian alighted at the island and observed the surroundings. Has the Dragon Sect platform been built? Wang Xian asked the Dragonian beside him. Yes, it's completed, Dragon King, the Dragonian immediately replied. Great. Wang Xian nodded his head. Dragon Sect platform was similar to the General's conferment platform of ancient times. To put it simply, it would be similar to a jetty. However, this jetty wasn't for ships to park, but for the subordinates of the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian arrived at the location of the Dragon Sect platform. The location was a deserted area of the island and spanned over a kilometer. It was built from concrete and extended towards the sea. At the middle of it was a platform with 3 words written in ancient style, Dragon Sect Platform. Wang Xian stood on it and looked to the sea. With just a thought, he spread his dragon power towards the surroundings. In less than 2 minutes, a giant clam appeared at the surface of the sea in front of the Dragon Sect platform. Dragon King. The clam opened and Roving Girl appeared on the sea surface. Around her, the waters were circulating. She has a figure similar to a human and greeted Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly and didn't say a word. In less than 5 minutes, a golden lobster-like organism surfaced from beneath the water in front of the Dragon Sect platform. It stood on the surface of the water and had a pair of giant golden claws that had the glow of metal. The golden metallic exterior shimmered under the sunlight. It bowed and greeted with great respect Dragon King. It was none other than Roving Lobster of the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian nodded his head and still didn't say a word. At this moment, the waters in front of the Dragon Sect platform started moving violently and caused huge waves. A ginormous object that spanned approximately 10 meters emerged from the seas. Dragon King. The giant animal lifted his dull yellow head and greeted Wang Xian. It was none other than Prime Minister Turtle of the Dragon Palace. The 3 marine animals floated on the surface of the seas. Any one of them, if discovered by a human, would have caused a huge uproar. Wang Xian stood on the Dragon Sect platform and looked down on his 3 subordinates. Prime Minister Turtle. Level 11. Art of Cultivation. Earth Dragon Transformation. Superpower. Ability to control turtle race whose level is lower than own existing level. Control Earth. Roving Lobster. Level 8. Art of Cultivation. Metal Dragon Transformation. Superpower. Ability to control lobster race whose level is lower than own existing level. Control Metal. Roving Girl. Level 9. Art of Cultivation. Water Dragon Transformation. Superpower. Ability to control clam race whose level is lower than own existing level. Control Water. Dragon King. The three marine animals exchanged gazes before greeting in unison. Currently, the three of you are the only members of our dragon palace. I will require more marine animals. Besides that, I've got to look for material to build the dragon palace. Today, I've summoned the three of you to follow me to search the entire Bohai Sea. Wang Xian stood on the dragon sect platform, which looked just like the general's conferment platform of ancient times, and spoke to Prime Minister Turtle, Roving Girl and Roving Lobster. He was satisfied with their current strength. The group had practiced divine dragon transformation, and their strength had increased very quickly. The strongest Prime Minister Turtle had already attained the level above the inborn state, a level above his former stage. Yes, Dragon King. Roving Girl, Roving Lobster and Prime Minister Turtle answered immediately. Wang Xian nodded his head. Although he had only 3 subordinates at this moment, he hoped that there would be a day where he stood on the Dragon Sect platform in front of tens of millions of Dragon Palace members. He also believed that the day would come sooner than later. Let's go. Wang Xian jumped into the skies and turned into a 5-colored divine dragon. Growl. A soft dragon roar propagated through the atmosphere. The 5 meters long Wang Xian dove into the seas directly. Swaying his body, he led the group. Roving Girl and Roving Lobster immediately swam to his left and right while Prime Minister Turtle stayed behind Wang Xian. Dragon King. At this moment, Prime Minister Turtle remarked. What's the matter? Wang Xian looked at Prime Minister Turtle with doubt. Dragon King. If you are looking to get more subordinates, I know of such a place. Prime Minister Turtle spoke slowly after thinking about the matter. Oh, where would that be? What kind of marine animals are there? Wang Xian asked Prime Minister Turtle inquisitively. A group of water monkeys. I remember encountering them at a location near the seas. They lived in a group, had pairs of sharp claws and were annoying. Prime Minister Turtle replied. Water monkeys. Wang Xian was taken aback and sank into thought. He had heard of water monkeys previously. They were similar to apes and were referred to as water spirits by the civilians. Water monkeys looked horrifying and had hair all over their bodies. They also had tremendous brute strength. Are the water monkeys Prime Minister Turtle has mentioned similar to those in folklore? Wang Xian thought to himself. He turned to Prime Minister Turtle and instructed, lead the way. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded his head. He sank to the seabed and executed his earth control superpower. Under the propulsion of the earth, the speed of Prime Minister Turtle was unbelievably fast. Roving Girl and Roving Lobster couldn't keep up with him at all. Prime Minister Turtle is still the more competent member. Not only has it lived for several thousands of years, but it also has a better understanding of the surroundings. Moreover, it is also stronger. Wang Xian was very satisfied with Prime Minister Turtle. Perhaps Prime Minister Turtle could truly be competent enough to take on the responsibilities as the Chamberlain of the Dragon Palace. Bohai Sea. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Turtle, they swam approximately 100 kilometers. Along the way, they met a few schools of small fish but Wang Xian ignored them. Dragon King, they are right ahead. Prime Minister Turtle looked ahead and said. Wang Xian turned his attention forward. This piece of sea region had complicated landforms. The underwater mountains were closely packed. Their peaks were also just a few meters from the surface of the water. The entire region looked gloomy as though even sunlight couldn't shine through. Wang Xian jerked his head and looked to his right. In that direction, there was an emaciated organism of approximately 1.5 meters which had red eyes. It stood at the peak of one of the mountains and was staring at them. Chapter 117, The Destructive Devil Monkey. Jagged peaks of seamounts jutted out from the seabed in the dark. A pair of bloodshot eyes were exceptionally obvious in the sea as it hugged the tips of the peaks with a hideous and horrifying expression. A pair of sharp fangs were exposed from its mouth, with its entire body covered with fur. Wang Xian stared at the water monkey, and the monkey did the same too. Devil Monkey, Level 5. Extractable Dragon Energy, 544. Devil Monkey. Wang Xian was taken aback as he read the information about the water monkey. A water monkey standing at 1.5 meters tall had level 5 strength, which was even more dominating than sharks. Wang Xian rocked his body and swam towards the devil monkey. Zzz. The devil monkey screeched the moment it saw Wang Xian approaching. Wang Xian could vaguely hear the message it was trying to convey. Get out of here. The devil monkey told them to get lost. Monkey's IQ is relatively high. Indeed, a mere level 5 devil monkey already has spiritual intelligence. Not bad. Wang Xian's eyes brightened up while displaying his imposing disposition. Roar. With a soft dragon growl, the dragon power enveloped the devil monkey immediately. As a divine dragon, his dragon power could subdue all creatures lower than his level. Now, he was already in level 6. He could subdue all creatures below level 6. Zzz. The devil monkey was petrified. It let out a frightful scream and hugged the seamount peak with uneasiness. Submit to me. Wang Xian yelled softly as the dragon power encompassed the devil monkey. Zzz. Just then the devil monkey hugged its head in pain. It looked up and let out a sharp screeching sound. The sound traveled far, far away. Bad news, Dragon King. It is trying to summon all other water monkeys here. Upon hearing the sharp shriek, the Prime Minister Turtle behind him had a change in expression. He quickly reminded Wang Xian. Wang Xian knit his eyebrows slightly. How many water monkeys are there? He gazed at the dark waters. The area seemed to span to 12 kilometers away. Just when Wang Xian finished his question, he suddenly noticed more and more bright red eyes appearing in front of him. These devil monkeys jumped and leaped around the jagged peaks on the seabed, just like a great army that exuded ferocious devilish aura. The sharp claws dug into the peaks as they leaped towards them. So many of them. Wang Xian stared at the mighty devil monkeys ahead of him as he was looking shocked. At least 1,000 devil monkeys were glaring at them coldly. Apart from level 5, there are devil monkeys in level 6 and 7. Wang Xian swept his gaze across all the devil monkeys. At the same time, their information appeared in his mind too. Zzz. Tear them apart. At this time a sharp cry was heard. Wang Xian looked over immediately. Right in the middle, a devil monkey of 3 meters tall with a burly body squatted on one of the peaks as it let out a roar. Zzz. Zzz. The devil monkeys around it reciprocated with high-pitched cries too. The sound of it was extremely sharp even in the water. One by one the monkeys leaped and attacked with sharp claws, honed fangs and agile movements. Courting your own doom. Upon seeing the charging bunch of devil monkeys, Wang Xian fired his imposing dragon power and encompassed them. All the devil monkeys below level 6 were shuddering and did not dare to move at all. He stretched out his metal dragon claws at the nearest level 7 devil monkey. Courting your own doom. Submit to me or die. The Prime Minister Turtle let out a cold ball. His body was close to the ground as he swept up a massive amount of earth and stones at the dozens of devil monkeys. Surrender. Roving Girl was standing behind. The ocean in front of her swirled and turned into gushes of water currents which she used to attack the devil monkeys. Kaka. Die. Roving Lobster raised his pair of gigantic claws and attacked them. Tearing you apart. The level 7 devil monkey was not afraid of Wang Xian's incoming attack. With a pair of sharp claws it reached out to Wang Xian's head. Since you are disobedient, I'll bash all of you up till you surrender. With a swing, Wang Xian's dragon claws confronted the devil monkey's claw. The metal dragon claws, accompanied by a tearing sound, turned the entire sea in front of him into a vacuum. SSS. As the dragon claws struck across, the level 7 devil monkey was torn into two. Wang Xian opened his mouth and swallowed it up. At the bottom of the sea, the Prime Minister turtle acted like a stone mountain. Pieces of hard soil blocks around him were thrown at the dozens of monkeys in front of him. Bam! The massive amount of soil blocks hurled the monkeys against the peaks behind them. On the right, the roving girl was controlling the water as she bound 4 monkeys with it. The water current strangled their necks to death. On the left, the roving lobster was surrounded by 8 monkeys. All of them were quick-moving as they struck their claws occasionally at the roving lobster. But the roving lobster had a body of metal. The claws of the devil monkeys were only able to leave a few marks on his body. When the roving lobster expanded his pair of claws, the claws were so sharp that he could snap the devil monkeys into 2 once he caught hold of them. Practicing the divine dragon transformation had allowed them to battle with strengths that were beyond their levels. For a moment, thousands of devil monkeys were entirely suppressed by them. In less than 20 seconds, they had killed hundreds of devil monkeys. Submit to me or else, I'll exterminate all of you. On seeing the dauntless devil monkeys, the color of Wang Xian's body changed violently. Eventually, it stopped at the fiery red color. As the Inferno Divine Dragon made his appearance, the seawater around him began to seethe. Wang Xian opened his mouth, and a fiery red Dragon Ball appeared inside it. After his nurturing, the current Dragon Ball was even more formidable than before. The combined power of the Inferno Divine Dragon and the Fire Dragon Ball doubled. Roar! The dragon roar echoed throughout the waters. He opened his mouth and wrapped the Dragon Ball with immense flames. With the Dragon Ball, he lurched forward to attack. Boom! The boiling waters were rapidly evaporating as the power of the flame from the Dragon Ball was dominating. Bam! The monkeys let out painful cries as the Dragon Ball swept across hundreds of meters ahead. Some of the weaker ones were incinerated. Bam! The Dragon Ball eventually landed on a small peak, crushing the tip of it. One could see a fiery zone with various types of fish within the 1,000 meters, killed under such high temperature outside the sea. Surrender! Wang Xian bellowed angrily once again with his roar resounding through the world. The path to becoming the strongest was built on blood and flesh. Hence, Wang Xian did not have the slightest bit of pity for killing all these devil monkeys. It was his destiny to blaze his way through all obstacles. Blood and flesh pathed the way to the peak. Boom! How dare you kill my younger generations? Go and die. Just then, a seamount peak was split open as a fierce cry was heard. A devil monkey of a size of 5 meters came into sight. It was burly and muscular, glaring at them with a pair of bloodshot eyes. Evil aura lingered around it as it held a 7 meters long metal rod in its hand. Like a destructive devil monkey. Chapter 118 9 Divisions of the Divine Dragon. Devil Monkey King. Level 10. Extractable Dragon Energy. 201,231. It's level 10 and its extractable dragon energy is over 200,000. This Devil Monkey King is really formidable. In fact, he is almost as strong as me. Wang Xian looked at the Devil Monkey King in front of him and had a solemn look. His current level was 6, but in his divine dragon form, he could go beyond his level and challenge level 11 animals. However, that was applicable to ordinary animals. For some level 11 animals, they were able to fight beyond their level and slay level 12 existences. Although the Devil Monkey King was level 10, the aura it was emitting would easily match a level 11 animal. The Devil Monkey King stood on the peak of the mountain that it had sliced off. An unknown metal rod that was about 7 meters long was resting on his shoulders as he looked down on Wang Xian with contempt. That looks. Wang Xian stared at the Devil Monkey King in front of him and recalled a character in a popular novel, The Great Sage Equaling Heaven, Sun Wukong. They both had the disposition of being the one above all, and both of them used rods as weapons. Surrender or die. Wang Xian wasn't wary at all. The other party wasn't the Great Sage Equaling Heaven, and he wasn't the Dragon King of the East Seas from the popular novel. 2. How dare you kill my disciples and followers? I'm going to slaughter you. The Devil Monkey King held the rod in his hands tightly, and his blood-red eyes were filled with black gas. Water monkeys. If you aren't willing to submit to the Dragon King, I'll kill every single one of you. Prime Minister Turtle lifted his huge head as it started emitting a dull yellow aura. Around him, the earth started churning. His huge body was also emitting a heavy atmosphere. Prime Minister Turtle's strength wouldn't be weaker than the Devil Monkey King. In fact, he might even be stronger. ZZ. The Devil Monkey King gripped onto his rod tightly and gritted his teeth as he looked at the Prime Minister Turtle. He then turned his attention to Wuxia. A tinge of fear flashed past his eyes. You've got to defeat me to make me surrender. Otherwise. As the Devil Monkey King spoke, he started manipulating the rod in his hand. Letting out a roar, he continued, otherwise I won't be convinced. Great, I'll make you submit to me. Wuxia stared at the Devil Monkey King. The intelligence of this Devil Monkey King was terrifyingly high. If he could make it a general under him, it would definitely become an important general in the future. If you want me to submit, show me your strength. Otherwise, get out of my region and I forbid you from entering in the future. The devilish aura on the Devil Monkey King started raging, and the water around him started turning black. Sure. Wuxia agreed. Only by completely defeating this obstinate and unruly Devil Monkey King would it be convinced. Otherwise, it would likely choose death over surrender. Wuxia waved his dragon claws as the metal claws gave off a metallic glow. Charging ahead, he attacked the Devil Monkey King directly. Come to me. The Devil Monkey King moved like a demonic shadow and was surprisingly faster than Wuxia. Lifting the rod in his hands, he smashed ruthlessly at Wuxia's head. What incredible speed! Astonishment flashed in Wuxia's eyes. He swayed his tails and the seawater around him started getting denser. With him as the center, the area of 100 meters around him seemed to have been turned into a swamp. Water control. ZZ. Huh. The Devil Monkey King could sense the immense increase in resistance. The devilish flames on him exploded as he forced open a free area. Space-shattering metal dragon claws. The dragon claws that were glowing slashed towards the Devil Monkey King. The devilish aura around the Devil Monkey King was shredded immediately and 18 golden marks fell onto the Devil Monkey King's body. ZZ. Roar. Deep cuts appeared on the body of the Devil Monkey King all of a sudden. However, what was creepy was that the Devil Monkey King wasn't bleeding. Instead, dense black gases started flowing out. It lifted its head and growled. Strong and dense dark aura started emitting from the rod in his hands as the Devil Monkey King swung towards Wuxia. Earth Dragon's Imperial Guard. Wuxia could sense the powers of the incoming attack and was shocked. He immediately started emitting dull yellow earth energy around his body. Bam! The black rod smashed onto Wuxia's body directly. His body shook and the dense earth energy dissipated, leaving behind a mark. SSS. Wuxia gasped as he felt the excruciating pain from his body. The impact of the attack had numbed his entire body. After he flushed his body with what attributes energy, his injuries recovered rapidly. However, taking on this attack had made him exhaust substantial stamina. Even if your devilish flames could blaze the skies, I'd still defeat you today. Wuxia swayed his tail. The surrounding waters moved as though they had a will and became extremely dense. Wuxia stared at the Devil Monkey King in front of him and opened his mouth slightly. The Dragon Ball was spat out once again. This time, the Dragon Ball was wrapped in a layer of water and illuminated the surrounding sea. The Devil Monkey King looked solemnly at Wuxia. His wounds were still emitting a black gas, and this was proof that his injuries weren't light. The Devil Monkey King clenched his hands tightly around the rod. It's over. Wuxia extended out his palm and was rotating the Dragon Ball with water control. He stretched his dragon claws forward before slashing down. The Devil Monkey King was shocked. The dense water around him had slowed him down substantially. In fact, his current speed was slower than Wuxia. If it couldn't dodge, it could only take it head-on, directly. It lifted the rod in its hands, clenched it tightly with both hands and roared, "Take this. I'd like to see how tough your rod is." Wuxia maintained a poker face. The Dragon Ball started rotating even more violently in the middle of his dragon claw, as the golden-colored dragon claws ripped apart space. Bam! When the dragon claw and the dragon ball collided with the metal rod, the water around the dragon ball dissipated and the dragon ball emitted horrifying heat. Arc! The flames of the dragon ball started flaking off. At the same time, Wuxia opened his mouth and spewed out flames that covered several hundreds of meters. The flames raged on as they started overpowering the devilish aura on the Devil Monkey King. Arc! 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 A heart-wrenching scream sounded. It was as though the monkey was placed in a furnace. I'm willing to submit. The Devil Monkey King shouted loudly. Wuxia opened his mouth once again and devoured the dragon ball with the flames. The Devil Monkey King lay on the floor, feeling completely drained. The seawater that was vaporized by the flames gushed in once again. Waving his dragon claw, a 5-colored blood essence flew towards the Devil Monkey King. Absorb it and don't resist it, Wuxia shouted. Yes, I, the Monkey King, am willing to submit. The Devil Monkey King lifted his head and got up with the help of its rod. It was still panting violently. Although the battle wasn't long, it was perilous. The Devil Monkey King had not practiced any cultivation arts and had lost. Ding! Conquered Devil Monkey King. The notification of the system sounded. Wuxia revealed a faint smile. Waving his dragon claw again, he injected dragon energy into the body of the Devil Monkey King to heal its injuries. Thank you, Dragon King. The Devil Monkey King kneeled down on one knee and spoke with great respect to Wuxia. I'll form the 9 divisions of the Divine Dragon in the future. Today, I shall bestow upon you the name of Roving Heavens and place you in charge of the Devil Division. Order your subordinates to come over. Wuxia imparted the cultivation arts of Devil Dragon Transformation to Devil Monkey King. Oh. Thank you, Dragon King. The Devil Monkey King went down on both knees and felt overwhelmed. Gather your subordinates. Wuxia instructed. Divine Dragon Transformation consisted of 9 different Divine Dragon cultivation arts. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, light, and darkness. These were the 9 different cultivation arts under the Divine Dragon Transformation. Oh. Wuxia was preparing to establish 9 battle divisions of the Dragon Palace to fight in wars for him. Devil belonged to darkness. In the future, the Devil Monkey King would be in charge of the Devil Division. Chapter 119 Devil Flowers. Dragon King. Wuxia stood on the summit of a mountain in the dark and gloomy sea. He was pleased with the bunch of devil monkeys before him. Roving Heavens knelt in the center while holding onto his unknown metal rod. The rod was so hard that it was beyond Wuxia's imagination. During the combat just now, Wuxia's claw and Dragon Ball did not do any harm to it at all. Divine dragons did not need to fight with celestial weapons. The only celestial weapon that he had was the Dragon Ball. Hence, divine dragons did not know how to make weapons. But in the list of Dragon Palace's constructing materials, there was a pillar known as the Dinghai Divine Rod. Dinghai Divine Rod not only made a strong pillar, but it could also be used as a weapon. When Roving Heavens refined the rod in his hand to Dinghai Divine Rod, his combat power would be extremely domineering in the future. Wuxia could already imagine the imposing fighting demeanor of a devil monkey blazing in devilish flames with the Dinghai Divine Rod. Behind Roving Heavens stood a bunch of devil monkeys. Among these monkeys there was only one level 9, which is the highest level among all. The rest were level 8 and below, while most of them were level 5. There was a total number of 800 monkeys. All the devil monkeys bowed on the seafloor respectfully as they worshipped their new king. The devil monkeys were born with intelligence. As they cultivated, their intelligence would improve. Wuxia did not need to activate their spiritual intelligence at all. He swung his arm and drops of blood essence entered the devil monkeys. Subsequently, he imparted the divine dragon transformation to all the monkeys. Consuming more than 800 drops of blood essence in one go had no impact on Wuxia. Blood essence was related to dragon energy. He could use dragon energy to restore his blood essence. Thank you, Dragon King. The bunch of devil monkeys thanked him in synchronized voices. Roving Heavens, you'll lead them from now on. Get them to do their cultivation and listen to your orders. All of you will be part of the first division, Devil Division of the Dragon Palace. said Wang Xian to roving heavens. Yes, Dragon King, everyone replied loudly. Let's go. Follow me for a search of the nearby waters. We need to find sunken boats and a variety of resources. Wang Xian said to them. Yes. Wang Xian took the lead and swam ahead with Roving Girl and Roving Lobster beside him. Prime Minister Turtle was swimming at the bottom of the sea while Roving Heavens, with a few subordinates, were following behind Wang Xian. Compared to the time when they had just came, they had undoubtedly built up a massive lineup. Wang Xian had many followers after subduing the devil monkeys, but there was one weakness. Most of the devil monkeys were moving too slowly and could not keep up with their speed. Wang Xian could only slow down the speed without much choice. The ocean was vast, magnificent, and extremely mysterious. Occupying 70% of the Earth, humans had yet to explore many regions of the ocean. The terrain of the ocean was much more complicated than the land. Some areas were covered by seaweed, some were barren and desolate. Some had towering seamounts on the bed of the ocean. Wang Xian stormed the ocean with a group of subordinates. In the shallow waters, all the marine animals fled in fright when they met them. There is a Chinese bahaba fish ahead. Seize it. He commanded those at the back. As they wandered around in the sea, Wang Xian was observing the surroundings before he saw a meter-long Chinese bahaba fish. A devil monkey lurched as it seized the Chinese bahaba fish. The devil monkeys could leap as far as 8 meters in the sea. Hence, their speed was much faster than ordinary fish. The devil monkey caught the Chinese bahaba fish easily and returned. Dozens of devil monkeys caught Chinese bahaba fish, giant yellow croaker and other precious fish. Wang Xian was catching the fish conveniently to replenish the top-quality ingredients in the first-grade restaurant. Dragon King, there's a sinking ship ahead. At this time, a devil monkey who was running all over the place reported to Wang Xian. A sinking ship? Wang Xian's eyes gleamed with excitement. Let's go over there. A sinking ship was the biggest treasure in the ocean. According to records, the gold and silver found in the sea were enough to buy over a developed country. The treasure in the ocean was beyond anyone's imagination. With a jerk, Wang Xian swam rapidly to the sinking ship. Sure enough, after he swam for about 2,000 meters, a sinking ship came into his sight. It was a modern ship. The ship was about 30 meters long with the front and back of the ship separated in different directions. The center portion of the vessel was covered in sludge. Wang Xian observed the sinking ship, and he was slightly disappointed. The ship was too small to cross the ocean, likely to be a fishing boat. Wang Xian exhaled a dull yellow dragon breath, revealing the entire ship buried under the earth. When Wang Xian looked over, he spotted some chests in the ship. He opened immediately. Gold. It's gold. 5 chests of golds. Wang Xian's eyes gleamed as he saw the shining gold. We found a ton of gold, 10 tons of steel. Do we collect them for the construction of the Dragon Palace? Wang Xian was looking bitter on his face. A ton of gold was worth more than 300 million. If he sold them away, he would instantly become a billionaire. Besides, these golds were more or less 1% of what he required for constructing the Dragon Palace. Collect them. Wang Xian made a decision, and the gold, even the steel on the vessel before him disappeared. Only some wood structures were left. Sigh. Wang Xian shook his head and continued hunting in the ocean. If he persisted, the Bohai Sea was too shallow. Wang Xian was considering whether to proceed to other water regions. As they went deeper into the sea, more fantastic living creatures and treasures could be found. But the sea was too vast. It would be a waste of time if he continued to search. He thought he could send the devil monkeys to explore the ocean for resources when the devil monkeys hit level 10. Dragon King, there's an aqua plant forest ahead. It's very magical and beautiful, said Roving Girl, pointing one direction after traveling for half an hour. Wang Xian looked over. A huge and magical underwater region was seen on the right. The entire underwater region was in a myriad of colors, full of fantasy just like how it was on TV and in movies. Many jellyfish were floating around, giving off all kinds of radiances. The underwater wonderland. This was the first time Wang Xian had encountered such a beautiful underwater world with various coral reefs and aquatic plants that exuded different radiances. Let's check it out. Wang Xian swam over with a group of subordinates behind him. We must make our dragon palace look as beautiful as this place in the future. Wang Xian swam over and observed the surroundings. Some of the jellyfish gave way to them when they sensed the imposing aura from them. The surrounding plants gently swayed, looking beautiful at the bottom of the sea. What's that? At this time, a pure red coral drew his attention as he looked ahead. Blood coral, the world's most precious gemstone, worth more than diamonds. That blood coral was worth over tens of millions or even hundreds of millions. The blood coral was located on top of a reef, looking beautiful with a few flowers of a size of 1 meter surrounding it. Wang Xian swam next to the blood coral. He was full of surprise as he reached out to grab the blood coral. Just then, the bright-colored flower below him suddenly moved. Chapter 120. Flower sac and heart-shaped blood corals. The more beautiful a thing was, the more likely it became that it would be dangerous. Similarly, the more beautiful a place was, the greater the chances of dangers lurking in the dark. Wang Xian didn't pay attention to the beautiful flowers below him, as his attention was on the blood corals. However, just when he noticed it, it was already too late. 10 bright and gigantic flowers were like beasts on a hunt. In an instant, they launched a lethal attack. Within each flower were densely packed sharp needles. Their roots extended and their petals wrapped around Wang Xian's body directly. Although Wang Xian's body was over 5 meters long, the 10 large flowers were still able to cover his entire body. When he noticed he was attacked by these flowers, Wang Xian was greatly shocked. He could feel the sharp needles of these flowers piercing through his flesh. Although this didn't cause huge damages to him, he noticed that the sharp needles were injecting a poisonous substance into his body. These flowers are poisonous. Wang Xian immediately tried to wiggle his huge body to break free from the flowers. Swish, swish, swish. Suddenly, tentacle after tentacle extended from the ground and wrapped around Wang Xian. They came one after another at a frantic pace towards Wang Xian. These flowers are trying to absorb me as nutrients. Wang Xian was flabbergasted as he felt his body weakening. He immediately tried to change his elemental attributes. Wood element Azure Dragon. Switching between the 5 elements, Wang Xian turned into an Azure Dragon of the wood element. This won't do. After turning into an Azure Dragon, he was shocked that he couldn't break free from the hold of these flowers. On the contrary, he could sense that these flowers were feasting on his wood attribute's energy. Wang Xian's eyes flickered and attempted an attribute change once again. Metal counters wood. A metal attribute golden-colored divine dragon appeared. How dare you attack the Dragon King? You must be courting death. At this moment, Prime Minister Turtle, Roving Heavens and the group immediately attacked the flowers after seeing Wang Xian being attacked by them. Roving Heavens swung his huge rod towards these flowers. Roving Lobster used his razor-sharp claws to attack furiously. Metal Edge Cosmos. Wang Xian turned into a divine dragon with metal attribute. He immediately noticed that the damages these terrifying flowers were dealing to him were reduced substantially. Wiggling his body, Wang Xian shot sharp metal needles at the petals of these colorful flowers. Swish, swish, swish. The flowers were pierced and Wang Xian immediately shredded the roots off him with his metal claws. Devil Flowers. Level 9. Extractable dragon energy from the flower sac. 45,334. Devil Flowers. What kind of organism is this? It's so scary and it has reached level 9. Wang Xian looked at it in horror. A flower reaching level 9 and even disguising itself as ordinary plants. Just the thought of it made him shudder. The 10 devil flowers had actually trapped him for almost an hour. Dragon King. Sorry that we are late. Prime Minister Turtle swam over and spoke with concern. It's all right. Wang Xian shook his head and looked to the devil flowers he had killed. He extended his dragon claws over and grabbed onto the roots before pulling them out forcefully. A blood-red flower sac appeared in his sight. Flower sac of the devil flowers. Level 9. Extractable dragon energy. 45,334. Can be used to restore and strengthen one's heart. Wang Xian looked at the information on the flower sacks of the devil flowers and was shocked. This could be considered a spiritual medicine. Restoring and strengthening one's heart was a powerful ability. Cultivation of ancient martial arts had a lot to do with one's heart. One could strengthen his internal energy by consuming this flower sac. At the same time, his cultivation speed would also increase. This is useless to me. Without a moment of hesitation, he devoured it. The 10 devil flowers provided him with over 40,000 points of dragon energy. These were also pleasant surprises for Wang Xian. This blood coral. Wang Xian turned his attention to the blood corals. Blood corals weren't big but looked extremely grandeur in the waters. Blood corals were regarded as auspicious objects and represented the noble as well as authority. They were also referred to as precious treasures and symbolized happiness and eternity. Just a single blood coral was worth over $10 million. Wang Xian kept it and looked across this dreamlike underwater region. I was a little careless previously. Although this place is beautiful, there are barely any fish around. Most of the fish were likely eaten by the devil flowers. These devil flowers emit a very unique scent, which makes one feel comfortable, to attract other marine animals. Wang Xian looked further ahead. He hesitated for a moment before embarking on his search of this region once again. Although the devil flowers were terrifying, he wasn't too wary after turning into the golden-colored divine dragon of the metal attribute. Considering that he was better prepared currently, level 9 devil flowers wouldn't pose much of a threat to him. Moreover, there was a large amount of dragon energy within the flower sacks of the devil flowers. This could provide him with the dragon energy required for leveling up. Lastly, there were also precious blood corals around. Therefore, he wasn't willing to leave this region. Wang Xian continued his search in this region for signs of devil flowers. Devil flowers. Level 8. Extractable dragon energy from the flower sac. 19,654. There are over 10 of them here, but they are all level 8 devil flowers. Wang Xian looked ahead and the information about these devil flowers popped up in his mind. He gave a faint smile, swam over and swung his sharp dragon claws through them before extracting the flower sacs. These added up to an additional 100,000 points of dragon energy, and Wang Xian was feeling great about it. Continue the search. This dreamlike region wasn't very big but still covered 7 to 8 kilometers. Wang Xian found a total of over 30 devil flowers in the vicinity. However, when he reached the central area, he was shocked by a giant devil flower. This particular devil flower had humongous petals that spread over 7 to 8 meters. Each petal was a different color, which included yellow, red, white, green, blue, and others. Looking at the flowers, Wang Xian felt an urge to charge forward. ZZ. Suddenly, the devil monkeys around him seemed a little flustered. Their blood-red eyes turned blurry and they started walking towards the humongous devil flower. Growl. Wang Xian let out a dragon roar which jerked the devil monkeys awake. When the devil monkeys regained their consciousness, they couldn't help but look in horror at the devil flower. Devil flower. Level 12. Extractable dragon energy from the flower sac. 1,112,343. Level 12. Wang Xian gasped. Considering what the devil flower could do, he had no way to deal with a level 12 devil flower. In fact, this devil flower could very well devour him. Forget it. Wang Xian looked at this devil flower with fearful eyes. Although devouring this devil flower could allow him to increase his level quickly, it was too dangerous. The seas are indeed mysterious. My current strength still isn't enough to rule the seas. Wang Xian sighed. When his attention landed on the area behind the devil flower, he stopped and had a joyous look. Surprise. A total surprise. It was a patch of coral reefs. The reason why he was so excited was because these blood corals were in a natural heart shape. This is what is really meant by precious. If I put this on auction, it would fetch at least $100 million. Chapter 121. The Girl That Drives a Bentley, 1. For all 3 days, Wang Xian explored the entire Bohai Sea with his subordinates. 3 days of sleepless nights did not impact him much. When Wang Xian stood on the dragon sect platform again, a large number of men had already gathered before him. Prime Minister Turtle, Roving Girl, Roving Lobster, Roving Heavens, and 800 devil monkeys. Apart from them, some sea turtles and lobsters with no spiritual intelligence lined up together too. These turtles and lobsters were captured by order of Prime Minister Turtle, as he wanted to groom his own subordinates. Wang Xian thought for a while before he agreed to it. For Prime Minister Turtle and Roving Lobster to groom their own men was a good idea too. Cultivate yourself, and enhance your strength as soon as possible. Wang Xian looked at his men as he spoke. Yes, Dragon King. The response was much louder than the previous time he'd come. Wang Xian was satisfied. All the men from Dragon Palace disappeared in the ocean as soon as he gestured with an arm swing. All of them hunted for nearby spots to start their cultivation. Quite a good haul this time. I can sell them for quite a huge amount. Wang Xian was amazed when he checked out the treasures beside the dragon sect platform. Millions of dollars worth of Chinese bahaba fish, and rare giant yellow croakers. For beautiful blood corals. One of them was ravishing, natural, heart-shaped and the size of a thumb. Apart from those, they found 15 sunken ships in the last 3 days, out of which they found 3 ships with treasures. Wang Xian found an emerald ring which was worth a lot from the sunken ships. As for the gold and silver, it was taken by the system to construct the Dragon Palace. It has been 3 days. Time for me to go back. Wang Xian looked at the time and noticed it was already afternoon. He beckoned a few Dragonians over, and got them to send the Chinese bahaba fish and the giant yellow croakers to the first-grade restaurant. After which, he kept the blood corals and the ring before he followed them back to the first-grade restaurant. Director Wang. Wang Xian heard Manager Huang's voice as soon as he was at the door. He turned around and looked at the shopfront beside the first-grade restaurant. As he lifted his chin and gazed at the fascia board, a satisfied smile surfaced on his face. Divine Dragon Medical Hall. Quite a speedy job. Not bad. Wang Xian expressed his satisfaction on his face and walked towards Manager Huang. Is it renovated? Wang Xian asked directly. Director Wang, it's in the process. It will soon be done since the place isn't big. I'll get the contractor to do it within the shortest possible time. Manager Huang answered Wang Xian. Okay. Let's take a look inside. Wang Xian entered. The size of this place was not very huge with about 170 square meters for the ground and second floor. But as a top medical institution, such a size was good enough. There would not be many patients in the future either. The renovation was done in a retro style, and it would take about 3 or 4 days before it was completed. Wang Xian was very pleased with the medical hall, after which, he went back to the first-grade restaurant to check on the revenue made in the past few days. The turnover for the past 3 days remained at just over 1 million for each day. Buzz. Just then Wang Xian's phone rang. He received a message from Xiaoyu. Brother, today's Friday. I don't have to do military training after school, so I'm having dinner with my friends. Wang Xian sent a message to Xiaoyu when he came out of the ocean. He looked at the date. Without knowing it was already Friday. Let's have it together. Just perfect, I can treat my roommates to dinner too. Wang Xian pondered for a while. He had yet to buy Zhang Wen and Zhang Feng a meal yet. The two of them were nice people. He should buy them a meal. Sure, brother. Where are you? We still have half an hour before we end. I'll look for you guys. Wang Xian got on his motorcycle and rode to school as he sent the message. After he entered the campus, he felt the familiar attention on him again as some of the students recognized him. Wang Xian looks really cool on his heavy-duty motorcycle. He's got a good figure too. So handsome. Yes, he's very handsome. No wonder Lan Qingyue declared that she likes him on the forum. Handsome is one thing. I bet Wang Xian has some capabilities too. Otherwise, how could he attract Lan Qingyue and Guan Shuqing? I heard that Wang Xian used to be very poor. He was working his ass during his first year. Now he looks like he is loaded. He's indeed capable and charming. The surrounding students exchanged conversations in whispers. When Wang Xian heard that, he drew his lips. Looked like after he smashed the signboard of the Taekwondo club, his reputation had changed tremendously. At least those contemptuous and disdainful looks were gone. To stay low profile, Wang Xian took out and put on his sunglasses from the motorcycle. He did not return to his room. Instead he called Wang Dahai. After the call, the three fellows in the room began to doll themselves up. Wang Xian came to the female dormitory and waited for Xiao Yu and her friends to come down. Xiao Yu and the rest had just ended their military training. They must be dolling themselves up. Girls like to look pretty by nature. Since they had been wearing military attire during the training for the past few days, they would want to show off their most beautiful sides now that they were heading out. Wang Xian took out his phone and waited downstairs. Hey, let me make myself clear. I'll sit beside Wang Yu later when we're having dinner. All of you cannot snatch the seat from me. Wang Yu is the prettiest girl in our class. We don't have hopes, but you still have a chance. We'll support you. Lu Ranran is not bad either. Besides, she's an internet celebrity. Hey, I like her. Lu Ranran seems haughty. She's not as good as Wang Yu. Wang Yu is like a girl next door. She's cute. I heard that Lu Ranran can earn a monthly income of $80,000 with her daily live streamings. She even got a car. Damn, being an online broadcaster makes you a lot of money. Only rich second generations like you have a chance to woo Lu Ranran and Wang Yu. We can forget about it. Wang Xian wore a pair of sunglasses to prevent himself from being recognized. When he was swiping his phone, he peered over in curiosity when he overheard the conversation around him. There stood 5 guys with tan skin. Obviously, they were freshmen from military training. One of them was rather good-looking with a height of 1.85 meters. Judging from his dress sense, his family should be quite well off. They must be Xiao Yu's classmates. Wang Xian pondered to himself as he listened to them. They are coming. Just then the voices of the same group of guys were heard again. Wang Xian looked over to the entrance as 6 girls walked out of the dormitory. All the girls were dressed up beautifully after changing out of their military uniforms. A girl in the middle was in her high heels. Her bodycon clothes shaped her perfect figure, making her sexy and gorgeous. Xiao Yu was wearing a flower-patterned dress. Yuan, Su Qian, Xiaomi, and an ordinary-looking girl were standing beside her. Lu Ranran is so sexy, Wang Yu is so pretty. The guys beside them brightened up their eyes as they whispered.